Welcome to the program. Good morning. My name is Victor Lo. This is Good Morning Kenya on KBC Channel 1. How are you doing? A brilliant Tuesday morning on this 18th day of February. We are here once again to get you updated on what's happening across the country as we do it every single morning. Okay, we are early risers. What about you? Yes, I know you're also an early riser because you're here with us once again. On the program at 7 a.m. we'll still be talking about matters AUC. This time around, today, I want us to take a look at the measures that we as a country need to take for us to hit that jackpot next time. A lot of questions have been asked, but then now, can we get a solution to it once and for all? Some say that Kenya did not get, our diplomatic process. What about you? What do you think? Let's talk about that later on with Wafula Mutacho, who is chairman of Ford Kenya, Trans Nzoia County. I also have Lena Mati, who is a lawyer, as well as Gilbert Awino, who is a lawyer and a strategic communications expert. I'll be having them here at exact. Mike, good morning. Good morning, Victor, and everyone who is watching Good Morning Kenya. Always a pleasure to have you on board. This is the way we start your later on in the program, we'll be having a conversation with some engineers regarding the regulating engineering service for public safety and welfare. That is a conversation that will be coming to you later on. Engineer Nathaniel Matalanga and also Engineer Margaret Ogal, who is the CEO, Engineers Board of Kenya. That is a conversation that will be coming to you at exactly 9 a.m. So I invite you to tune in. Broadcast. Good morning, Ray.
Good morning to you, gentlemen. Glad to be on board, and I like what is happening in the political scene. As we had predicted last week, is that whichever outcome that Kenya landed on in as far as matters of AUC effect was to be felt not just across Africa, but also back home politically. I'm glad that, Victor, you're going to be taking up that conversation. I'm Regina Manyara. Now let's bring you up to speed with those stories that have been making headlines in the last 12 hours. And we start off with matters. 7.8 billion shillings has been added to fund health services under the Taifa Care program in the supplementary budget set to be tabled at the National Assembly today. These are some of the resolutions and county government's health summit chaired by Deputy President Professor Kithure Kindiki agreed upon. Here's Kamche Menza with the details.
And emergency and primary health care services have received an additional fund of 3 billion shillings each in this year's supplementary budget in upscaling service delivery under the new health system.
The budget will provide an additional 1.8 billion shillings to take care of maternity-related health services, including Linda Mama, and that includes our teenage girls and the pregnancies associated with teenagers.
A deputy president chairing a health summit on Monday maintained the health system must be upgraded to benefit Kenyans. The summit noted that the frequent social health authority system downtime of the 5,380 claims processing devices at the counties, arrears of 7.5 billion shillings to the defunct fund, which hampers service delivery, lack of capitation for level 2 and 3 hospitals, and the recent withdrawal of donor funds continue to paralyze the efficiency of Taifa Care.
And inadequate e-claim hampering efficient claim submission and reimbursements.
In the resolutions reached following a closed-door meeting, the means test 28 February 2025 to make it objective.
That will give a clear and scientific assessment and thereby generate a predictable premium assessment of who needs to pay how much.
Addressing collective bargaining agreements and interns' concerns in the next 2 weeks.
We need to do a lot of work, especially the efficiency aspects at the two authorities, the Social Health Authority and the Digital Health Authority. Let us ourselves and let us take criticisms and feedback positively.
The government plans to undertake another massive registration from 1st of March 2025.
Officers is currently on strike, citing delays by the government to implement the return to work formula that was signed September last year. The clinical officers accuse the Social Health Authority of failing of a meeting held between the Ministry of Health and KUKO on the 4th of January 2025 regarding the contracting and empaneling of facilities and clinical officers to SHA.
Public health facilities across the country are headed for paralysis beginning Monday midnight, following the recommencement of industrial action by the Kenya Union of Clinical Officers. Issues in the return to work deal that are unimplemented include confirmation of universal health coverage staff into permanent and pensionable terms, promotion and redesignation of clinical officers, comprehensive all clinical officers, and failure to schedule next collective bargaining agreement negotiation meetings.
The Kenya Union of Clinical Officers regret to announce that our strike will resume in full force. All public facilities, including the National Referral Hospital, effective midnight today. We urge the respective employers to take immediate action to resolve with the finality to prevent further disruption in healthcare services delivery.
The officials further lamented the non-implementation of empaneling facilities and clinical officers registered council to SHA,
where clinical officers have been excluded from pre-authorization right, where they cannot be able to offer any emergency services to patients, and also there are facilities that are registered under the council were denied empanelment.
Additionally, they took issue with the ongoing health summit, claiming its leaders involved.
Today there is a summit where they have termed it that is a consultative engagement at the Deputy President resident, discussing about healthcare workers without their representative, discussing in the health sector without their representative.
The officers have vowed to remain steady until their concerns are fully addressed.
We'll be keeping tabs on that particular development, given that this industrial action resumes after the lapse of a 21-day suspension strike notice. To matters graft, the National Police Service has begun automating all its policing services, and Anti-Corruption Commission continues to audit systems and procedures within the service. The Inspector General of Police, Douglas Kanja, says the automation process will prioritize digitization of the occurrence book and instant traffic delivery.
The National Police Service have been ranked among the most corrupt institutions in the country. Anti-Corruption Commission survey of 2023. The Inspector General of Police, Douglas Kanja, says the service is keen on cleaning its image.
If we automate the services, my belief is that we will improve service delivery to the people. We will enhance our capability. We will shorten the period of time taken serve the people.
This is the Deputy Inspector General of Police, Gilbert Masengeli, eyed the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission to review its handling of police officers suspected of corruption.
The question is there a proper way, any professional way we can deal with the arrests that we are making to these officers, police officers who have families, who have children, who are doing what they are doing, in a better way of handling it? Should we bring it to the media?
EACC is auditing systems, policies, National Police Service.
This exercise is massive in the sense that it will touch all formations and units of the police service, and we hope by July we'll be launching a report of our findings and recommendations submit to the IG for implementation. And based on what we have seen today and the support we have enjoyed so far, we hope and believe that this exercise is and seamless.
They spoke at the National Police College Embakasi A campus in Nairobi County.
Now, a section of Kisumu County residents say the region will remain behind President William Ruto's broad-based government, even after Raila Odinga lost the African Union Commission chairmanship to Djibouti on Saturday. The residents said President impossible to support Raila's candidacy and is therefore not to blame. They added that the region had reaped from Ruto's administration and will hence support the government.
Tumekubali na jinsi waliongea jana. Tuliona kama Raila wanaongea na Bwana Ruto na vile waliongea vizuri. Hiyo ndio tunawapongeza sana kama viongozi. Waliongea na usujaa sana. Bado wataungana vile waliungana. Na tunasema sisi kama wavijana na sisi kama viongozi wa Kisumu pamoja na bunge mzima tumekubali waungane.
Kwa hii serikali yake tumeona matunda. Tumepata ma-ministers full ambapo hatujaipata.
When Raila Odinga wanted to become the chairman of AUC, Ruto was there and he was there for Raila. He supported him with everything that he needed. By bad luck, we didn't win. It means that now Ruto and Raila are not going to work together. We are just urging them, let them work together and fix Kenya.
That is going to be forming this morning with Victor and his panel, just looking at the ripple effect that particular outcome of Saturday's vote has on the political matrix. Taking us to business, is that Kenya is facing potential power outages disruption as electricity demand reaches a record high of 2,316 megawatts as of February 2025, against the available capacity of 2,320 megawatts. Kenya Power Minister ROAR is urging the immediate lifting of a moratorium on electricity generation. He emphasizes that increasing generation capacity is crucial to restoring the standard 15, which would cushion the grid against potential power disruptions.
Kenya's installed electricity capacity stands at 3,191 megawatts, with an effective capacity of 3,030 megawatts. However, capacity is 2,320 megawatts, just slightly above the new electricity peak demand of 2,316 megawatts. 12 megawatts increase from the previous peak of 2,304 megawatts recorded in May last month. Peak demand and available capacity has intensified the push to lift the 3-year moratorium on boarding new projects.
As it should have been lifted like yesterday. I think you already see the razor thin margin that we have between our, that is the difference between our installed capacity and the latest peak.
The utility firm notes that the peak demand has surged by 200 megawatts over the last 2 years, with an average monthly increase of 14.8 months. Kenya Power Managing Director Joseph Sirol highlights that in 2024, recorded 7 new peak demands levels, triggering nationwide blackouts despite major investments in grid stabilization projects. To enhance grid stability, Kenya Electricity Transmission Company KETRACO has been investing in critical infrastructure, including the completion of the Kimuka substation and the 33 kV double stack between Narok and Bomet. Additionally, over 198,535 new customers have been connected to the national grid in the past 6 months. With the rollout of Last Mile Phase 4 and 5, 9,121 customers are expected to gain access to electricity, further increasing demand on the grid.
Wondering why then there's been a frequent power outage in your area? Well, the power provider there exactly tells us what is going to be happening. We'll see if that increase of capacity is situation. On to matters taxes, where the Kenya Revenue Authority marginally surpassed its collection of value-added tax fueled by higher collections from petroleum products and locally manufactured goods. It shows that the Kenya Revenue Authority collected 34.5 billion shillings in January of 2025 from VAT, which is $500 million shillings more than what was collected during a similar period in 2024. KRA attributes a 1.6% increase in revenue performance to implementation of regulation of returns, which has contributed to enhanced revenues. KRA says there was a 121.6% increase in remittance from oil marketers, 121.5% from sugar, 5% from soft drinks. And to avoid that filing of return challenge that we towards June, you can start doing your filing as early as now. To sports now, WRC Safari Rally Kenya defending champion Kale Rovanpera will lead Team Toyota to defend his title in this year's edition, set for the 20th to the 23rd of next month. Rovanpera is currently third on the driver's standings this season, behind second place Sebastian Ogier. Champion leader Elfyn Evans after the first two rounds of the Rally Monte Carlo and Rally Sweden.
Kale Rovanpera will be joined by his Evans, Takamoto Katsuta and Sami Payari for the Safari Rally Kenya. Speaking during the SFAO sponsorship unveiling, Sports CS Salim Mvuri to harnessing and developing rally talents in the country as the ministry seeks to deliver the best championship this year.
The government is actually investing in a lot of infrastructure across the country that is going to be very useful for our talent development. However, on making a special appeal because it is a bit expensive, it is special, and it requires also special investments.
SFAO has sponsored this million shillings, with 33 million shillings going directly to the event. The WRC Safari Rally Kenya will also act as an African Rally Championship and a national rally circuit.
Soon we will be coming up with a policy direction in government that will be looking into monetizing talent, and hence ensuring that whatever you do in this country, be it athletics, be it rallying, be it and the rest of them, earns at least something for you as a participant.
The Toyota team actually this weekend just won in Rally Sweden. The team of Elfyn Evans and co-driven by Scott Martin, actually leading in the Drivers' Championship. So they come into Kenya rather hot. We already have entries from Kale Rovanpera from Finland, Elfyn Evans, Takamoto from Japan, and Sami also from Finland.
For the upcoming rally, I also look forward to a thrilling moment the Safari Rally will bring, and remain committed to the growth of motorsports in Kenya and beyond.
After Elfyn Evans navigated by Scott Martin, the drivers are now on their way to Africa for the legendary Safari Rally Kenya, round 3 of the season from the 20th to 23rd of March.
Cap on matters in the headlines this morning. Be sure to peruse our website www.kbc.co.ke for further information on what is making headlines regionally as well as across the globe. I leave in the capable hands of Victor. Conversation this morning, especially the ripple effect of that AU chairmanship election there. What does this mean for former Premier Raila Odinga and his party? Over to you, Victor. Have a pleasant Manyara.
vifaa vyetu, tunapata fursa ya kutangamana na wasikilizaji wetu.
Karibu sana thĩinĩ wa tabarĩra ya Rwiga.
Tunapeperusha utangazaji uliobobea katika habari,
nĩ ũndũ wa macio na mangĩ maingĩ,
na hamasisho la kiroho. Usiachwe nyuma. Jiunge nasi kwa safari ya kufana katika 99.5 Shoro FM.
You and our director, how did you two meet? I've never seen you come before for shooting.
I saw a boy, tall and handsome. I've never seen him before. Who is he? How's this enough? I know clearly about your appetite. You want to save money?
Okay. I'm just saying.
Well,
can I use a group coupon?
Oh, you can.
Greetings, Rastafari. My good name is Marley Moses, the positive warrior, alongside...
Yes, sir, DJ D-Rage, the baddest, each and every Wednesday from 10 p.m. on KBC.
Tunakuletea the biggest reggae party in 254 in a yard. Extra niceness of reggae music.
Extra dope.
The thing is nice.
We have to do it twice.
Okay. Well, we're just having a tete-a-tete with my guest here. Karibu. My name is Victor Law. So let's welcome my guest in studio today as we tackle people and politics on this beautiful day of 85, taking a look at what is happening in the country. Of course, the biggest discussion around us still, even on our local dailies, is still the issue to do with the AUC, how we lost it. And now, different pundits and political analysts, brilliant brains are still giving their opinion and why we have the missteps in clinching that particular seat. This is the second time actually Kenya was going for it. But I want us to get back today, not to take a look at what's really happened in Addis, but then where are we bullseye in as far as this position is concerned. Kenya has been angling for different positions continentally, so to speak. Some of them on the global stage have been so quite lucky. I really want us to get into that and have a deeper conversation in as far as that is concerned. Of course, Kenya's candidate was Raila Odinga, but as it went time around, Wafula Mutacho, immediate left, is a member of Ford Kenya and also chairman of Ford Kenya Trans Nzoia County. Wafula, Bushere Papa.
Bushere Munakuka. Thank you to meet again.
Yeah, we've met once again.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Somebody's wondering, how did I know Luia? Luisa, we are neighbors, right?
Yeah.
Gilbert, yes. There's images.
But Bungomas people are a bit far from us.
Not far, really. You know, from Mias, and you know, Mias and Siaya people, they almost change language. They shift language.
They do business almost.
Today they can speak the Luo. In the afternoon, I mean morning, the Luo, afternoon, the Wanga language, you see, the Luya language. They shift languages.
Baba says he's a descendant of the Wanga.
Yeah, you don't know the history, maybe. The person we could ask, maybe.
Okay, Gilbert, good morning.
Good morning.
Good to see you.
Nice to see you again.
After quite some time.
Yeah.
Were you in Addis? What happened?
Well, those who went, and there were many of us who remained to celebrate.
And you followed it locally?
Yes, we did.
Let me start with you.
Yes.
Actually, as we get in, we are getting into it. And of course, by the way, we are still waiting for Lena Mati. Lena Mati was a lawyer here in the country. She'll be joining us shortly. But based on the issue here, or even our local dailies, is all about the AUC. So let me start with the front page of the Standard. Taming Raila, that's what's on the front page of the Standard newspaper. Is Raila Odinga taming Raila, and it says that even before the dust has settled on Raila's loss in the African Union race, a push for his appointment as Prime Minister is gaining momentum. Ruto to implement the NADCO report, creating the position of in the Constitution. Raila's decision could also reshape the political landscape ahead of 2027. NADCO reports implemented, gentlemen. Was it a deliberate attempt to leave it hanging somewhere? Because now when you have this position of the Prime Minister being introduced at this particular point, then as on the front page of the Standard, is meant to tame him. So it's not to get it right, but to tame him. Gilbert.
Yeah.
What do you think?
If you want to sell your newspaper,
yes,
of course, you must have Raila on your front page. The headline on the Standard essentially makes, I think today the Standard will have a lot of sales. Well, to say that you're taming Raila means that he's gone haywire and therefore you have to bring him in. Contextually, what they are trying to say is that, well, Raila is someone who rabble rouses, particularly when he's on the opposite side. So they are looking at has William Ruto have to do so that Raila does not continue to do what he has to do when he's on the other side. You know, he can be unrelenting as far as, you know, pushing for certain agenda is concerned. I think that is where the headline is coming from, particularly when it's considered that AUC, due to William Ruto's influence, he did not get it as a result of perhaps the contribution of William Ruto. So there is a sense that someone might think that maybe they from his camp, and therefore Ruto has to move in very fast and ensure that this gadfly must be, you know, in your pockets. So,
okay.
Yes.
Wafula, what do you think?
You know, this time, Stolo, this time I think Kenya did a very good campaign against our candidate in the AUC. More than that one of Amina Mohammed. This one was a crucial one. At least Raila to win.
Yes.
Though with me, you know, I've worked in some portions in UN and especially in Africa. And I know this gimmick, the way they plan election of AUC. And they have put in some obstacles whereby the Anglo countries, it becomes so difficult for them to win this seat. And you can see the way the campaign was made. Everybody could. But with me, I noted some issues, at least on the government decisions, mostly on DRC, this one of Israel, contributed some issues. So the campaign was good. Raila was a good candidate. And I remember even people said, Raila win in AU, which was Raila was our national candidate, was not a Raila candidate.
Were you expecting Honorable Wetangula to not win?
You know, so many people were questioning me that, of course, Raila is against. But, you know, people who are against Raila to AUC was people from, and you know very well, the people from those side of the mountain, this side of the mountain, not those side of the mountain, this side of the mountain, the followers of former deputy president. And they are saying that let Papa come back so that he can keep some checks in the country. Yeah, but anyway, we missed it big, and I knew very well that we are going to miss because as a country we made some international decisions, which actually contributed to this. First of all, as a country, we supported the Israel attack against Palestinians. This one, of course, to this election, because all Muslim-led countries were against that, so they could not vote for us. Even being how they could not. Also, the Francophone countries, also they have teamed up, and you can see with the newspaper today, Star Today, they got together to vote against Anglophone countries.
How Arab states actually, states in France ganged up against Raila. That's also the front. That's what. How Arab states and France ganged up.
They have done Raila. It before. They did it. You know, Uhuru was a bit clever. He thought that maybe fronting Amina Mohammed being he will go through, but it didn't work. It didn't work. These people want to see this country is led by a Muslim. Is it part of us or not? Is it led by a former colony of France or not? So that is an issue. So secondly, where we lost big is SADC. You know, Kenyan, we make a decision to support M20 in a way when we call when we called some meeting and the head of state, but the president of DRC decided not to come, but he attended the meeting of SADC. You can remember. When they reached at a point whereby the SADC bloc must make a decision, and you know SADC is actually controlled by South Africa mostly, so they decided to vote Hayway, the other side, losing. And I sense this one because as a country, international policies are very key to any decision of the country. Yeah, very, very key.
All right, let me ask this, because now you've also talked about how Arab states, France, ganged up against Raila. That story is on the front page of the Star newspaper. You can take a look at it in details. It actually is also fleshed there for you on page 2. France has a lot of interest in Djibouti that has military bases. And of course, taking a look at that in details, I mean, it has to be there. And why France, and of course, we've been very good friends, Kenya and France have been time, but why that change is something that we also want to take a look in details. Let me welcome Lena Mati, who is also a lawyer and a friend of Good Morning Kenya. Wakili, good morning.
Good morning.
You are the late comer.
I'm sorry. I'm just a few minutes late, but
I understand. Yeah. This is Nairobi. Karibu sana.
Asante.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too, Victor.
I still ask why you are not in Addis.
Virtually.
Okay.
Yes.
So you followed everything that happened?
Yeah, I followed what
the same question that I asked the gentleman here. What is basically your own opinion? Why we did not clinch their own opinion and their interpretation? What is your understanding to this far?
Thank you, Victor.
Yeah.
Actually, for me, I thought that Baba was going to win. And I thought this because Baba is not just... Yes, in 2017, we fielded Amina Mohammed, and it didn't work. But when I looked at Baba, the stature of Baba, what Baba has done for how he has contributed to Pan-Africanism and infrastructure across Africa, I really was convinced that Baba was going to win. But I think we've had issues, especially, yes, just like my brother has said there have been the issue of Anglophone and Francophone, whereby we feel like there are regards to how the countries vote, so it may contribute to some of the countries not being able to get the seat.
Yeah.
But also I also feel like we may have made some blunders, especially within 1 year, whereby we've had our diplomacy being a bit questionable, you know. The latest being the issue of DR Congo, you know, and the third states, whereby we strongly, and we looked like we were locking horns with the third nations. Yeah. We've also had the issue of Ukraine, you know, whereby our president just goes out there and takes sides on Ukraine. Israel, without really, you know, just considering the effects and the ramifications that come with it. Yeah. And you see, with this kind of things, they always have a big impact on our policy. Policy is not, I mean, it's like usual Kenyan local politics. It always, people observe, people see. And then also we had also the factor of Gen Zs. If you really realize last year we've had issues whereby we were saying that the Raila that
Gen Z related to AU?
Okay, it's not directly related, but there is an indirect connection. You see, one of the things that the Gen Zs have done is that the Gen Zs have come out to oppose. And, you know, we live in a global world, you know, in a global village because of social media, just like you've asked me that I was in AU, and I told you I was there virtually. Yeah. And because of this, even the and one of the things that Gen Zs actually really wanted to push was to make it look like the former prime minister was a puppet of the current president, which I think in one way or another, we may have succeeded to bring that image. So even that could have caused the image of Raila to be blurred.
That would be local politics. Because when I look at the AU stage in Addis, yes, what the ripple effect of the Gen Z ever happened in the country, everybody felt it across the continent, all right? But somebody would say the way Yusuf said that he doesn't want to get into Kenyan local politics.
Yes, but you see, Victor, the thing is that the heads of state always have, like, we all have eyes, we can be able to see. And that is why, some time back, even a journalist from South Africa questioned and asked, if the former prime minister is not able to take any action as with regard the country, how can we be so sure that he's going to do something with regards to uniting other African nations? People always see. Diplomacy is actually about seeing, even more than doing the action itself.
To some extent, he had his voice when they were in Oma Bay or something?
No, but that one was just like just for the show.
Okay. This is interesting, eh?
Victor, on this one,
yes,
I take a different stand because local politics does not affect the AUC. Because when you go in that direction, the immediate chair, where you come from, there is a lot of problems than in Kenya. Even the AUC chair from his country, there is a lot of problem. You cannot compare that country with Kenya. The politics of Kenya is more advanced. Here in Kenya, you can literally talk anything to even the head of state, and you are working. In country, you cannot even talk of even a minister alone. You can't. So you cannot measure the level of politics with that Djibouti or the other side where the former president came from. No, this one actually, when you go to history where the votes which Amina got, is equally the same with what Raila got, which means it is the same style voting. Actually, it's not affecting the local politics. It does not. But maybe the international stand, the country will take sometimes, the international stance. The one.
Are we not reading through the whole system of voting, Gilbert? Because correctly, it's more or less the same what Amina went through. And the same repeated itself on
Victor,
Saturday.
Yeah, I would want to enhance Wakili Mati's point a bit and also disagree with Wafula to a small extent, but largely agree with what he's saying. I think there are various systemic issues that contributed to Raila's loss. Of course, those systemic issues are attributable to Kenya and not Raila as a candidate. I would want to look at the issue of the subdivision of regions that give you candidates for the African Union chair. If you look at the Eastern region, for example, Kenya is linked with, lumped with Madagascar, Seychelles, all those countries. But to look at ideologically, are these people really even people in the Eastern region? Do they consider themselves part of us? If you look at Chad, the subdivision, just look at the subdivision for the AU. I think it would have been better if the subdivisions are given according to the economic or regional blocks that these people have. We have the Maghreb, we have the ECOWAS, we have the SADC, and then I think those are the major really regions that we have. Because had President William Ruto lobbied within the Eastern region first, I think that if he had lobbied to the extent that now it is East Africa, why don't we agree just to front one candidate? That would have been easier for Raila to win. But here we are basically coming from the same region, from the Eastern region, but they identify themselves as Francophone. That's number one. Number two, I don't know whether you remember that the last time Ruto and Raila were in Egypt, the head of intelligence of the Egyptian government was actually standing next to the president of Egypt. But I thought that that is one of the areas where we failed as a Kenyan government. You remember, everybody in the intelligence sector in our country is basically people who came into leadership as became the president. I wish you knew the amount of intelligence information that the political leaders share about other colleagues when they're about to meet them. I think intelligence community had been much closer to the intelligence around the presidents of Africa. Then they would have given our president, perhaps, and our people an opportunity to talk, thinking the heads of state about the candidacy of Africa, because 49 states were voting, 49 presidents were voting for Raila and not the global African population. That indeed could have contributed. Where I think it contributed is that, yes, Kenya is a very vibrant country, but also our social media characterization is top-notch. It goes beyond African countries. We put ourselves out there, anything. And what were the algorithms saying about Kenya, saying about the president, saying about Raila? Of course, the ratings of the president as far as fundamentals are concerned have been dropping significantly. That indeed may have influenced the conversation that the president have with their people around. And lastly, I think that whereas the campaigns concentrated on speaking with the presidents, you remember that presidents are they say, "Huyu Victor ni nani? Yuko aje?" So essentially, I think that perhaps the conversation would have concentrated on who surrounds these presidents. To say that, I don't think they did it, SADC did it leave us. Ramaphosa, who has been, I think, the controller of SADC, voted with Kenya. But the smaller countries like Mauritius, they voted for the Egyptian candidate. Why? Because they see themselves as Anglophones. And lastly, I think where we also missed, whatever will go wrong must go wrong. But if you watched Singoe, the PS, I think there's a reason for him to reflect, particularly on the kind of attitude. I watched how he synthesized the letter that was written by SADC, and essentially just trashing a letter that has been written by you're looking for their support. I think when he dismissed and say it is questionable, why is it coming? It is nothing, we are not concerned about it. I think when it came now to choose between Kenya and said, this person is just, let us show him.
So because how powerful was that letter then? Because when you put it that way, he at some point he said it was probably an afterthought or something to ask members or to
if you remember what Shakespeare says, I think in one of his writings, he says, there is something to the written word that the spoken word can never achieve. Once a letter has been written, evidence, it tells you this is our synthesized thought. Perhaps the best way would have been then to respond to it via letter. But when someone has written a letter and then you take it to the global sports and trash it, essentially I think he may have written that particular letter. Yes.
Leonard, does this really worry you? Because for sure Kenya, somebody would say that Kenya was at a very good position this time around to clinch it.
Of course. I told you, I really hoped, because, you know, the former Prime Minister is not just any person. In fact, when I compare the former Prime Minister to the rest of the candidates, like someone like Mohamed Yusuf and Richard, that the former Prime Minister has a very rich legacy. This is something that we could have really captured. And also owing to the fact that the former Prime Minister came in with the political experience, so at least because elections were being held at the high level, at the executive level. So he's someone that could have really talked to his peers, and also owing to the fact that, you know, he had support across Africa. So I think that we get a candidate who really can harness both diplomacy and political sides near time. But I think if you can be able to correct our mistakes come in the future, then we can also be able to clinch the same. But also we must work towards our foreign policy. For us to come out there globally and say that you're offering our candidate, we must, Kenya as a nation is strong, and there's something that we have to offer for the same. Yes.
You know, on the Standard, it says that French-speaking countries have led the AU for 19 of the past 23 years of its existence. 19 out of 23. So how do we change it? Because when you look at it, then it means that the number will continue going on and on and on and on and on and on and on. Rotational, you know, clause that it has to go for a block. Like this time around, it was East Africa block, of which Kenya, you know, was in that position this time around. But we are not lucky. Again, before you answer, look at of the Daily Nation again, as we come to that discussion. Why Kenya keeps losing top jobs race? Not Raila Odinga, it's Kenya. And you've correctly put it, because... So where is our foreign policy having the gaps so that we are at par with our peers across the continent?
Okay, let me first begin by answering the first one.
Right.
Whether the Anglophone issue, whether it's really poses a you see, the first time that elections were being done for the AUC chair, it was something that was random. And then the members, the president, introduced now, because they felt like, once we keep going this way, I think we'll just have candidates from one area. And so they introduced the rotational step. And I think also for me, you know, as someone who would really want to get into diplomacy in future, so begin to look at the amendments on this Anglophone and Francophone issue, you see. So I think whereby we are...
Simple majority or something?
Yes?
Simple majority? No, 33. Because if a simple majority, I think Raila would have picked that thing on the first round.
You see, by the way, if when I look, in as much as Francophone and Anglophone was an issue, all the Anglophone nations vote for Raila. Did they all vote for Raila? Because if Raila had really maintained, he didn't even need to have the 33 of them all through. He just needed to have maintained the first position all through. That one would have dropped and Raila would have had his own way. But I'm not sure whether the simple majority will be the one that will do it, but I think there still need to be some changes with regards to that.
Mutasha, what do you think?
The last time AUC had some changes was when Amina Mohamed lost. That's when they discussed that, no, this thing must go regional, taking center stage on West African countries, mostly. Now, when they made these changes, I noted it was a loophole. And members decided to say that let it go regional. But in regional still, like in our region, East Africa, that country of around Eritrea, I mean Djibouti, it's not in...
It is.
It is. In our formation of East Africa.
Yes, it is. That's why.
Yeah, but...
well, are you trying to say that it's a small country as well?
It is supposed to be in West Africa, North Africa. Supposed not East Africa.
It's part and parcel of us.
To me, what I thought they should have done, maybe they could have gone taking these three rotational four Muslim state countries and Christian state countries. Maybe it could have worked at that level. But going like this, I think even there is the UN Secretary General also agreed that now we are going to have a security position. One of our Africa countries is going to be added in a council. We might also lose that one. And you know, Kenya, we have been eyeing for that position, for the UN Security Council to be in there.
Why do you say so?
Because if this is they'll vote a Francophone country, simply. You see, they'll vote for the same way.
Yeah.
So we still have a challenge on that, and unless they amend a voting style, I think Anglophone will keep on losing the seat.
Gilbert, just before you answer that, he's raised some good point there, but let me give you nation. It says that there is a losing streak that Kenya has always held. In 2025, we lost the AU seat. In 2024, headquarters of Loss and Damage Hub, we lost that. In 2023, Secretary General of organization, which was Nancy Karigithu, who was on the front line. In 2023, we lost the headquarters of African Continental Free Trade Area. 2022, President of the International Fund for Agricultural and Development, Rachel Omamo, who was the candidate then. And in 2020, World Trade Organization Director General Amina Mohamed was the candidate. We lost African Union Commission Chairperson. Again, Amina Mohamed was on the front line. Based on what is said, do you think it's now time for Kenya to take a break and say contest?
I think we need to really, Kenya needs to reflect on its philosophy around interacting with other people. We seem to come onto the table too late, rather aggressively when we think it is our time. And yet, how often do you get annoyed? You, and then when they are bereaved, suddenly you're in a WhatsApp group and they want you to contribute to them, and this guy has known you for years but he has never bothered to greet you, even to ask whether you're alive or dead. What I think Kenya perhaps has to do is our philosophy that we are the hub of Africa, we are centrally placed, and do other African nations view us as this? And that takes me back to the issue of Pan-Africanism. PLO Lumumba, the founding fathers of Africa, actually the founding fathers who founded then Organization of African Unity. I think now it should be 63 years since it was formed.
Yeah.
But the question is, Pan-Africanism that we talked about. Ghana was one of the founding fathers, a friend to Jomo Kenyatta. Same to many other African countries, many other, Milton Obote and many others. The list goes on and on. Surprisingly, Ghana did not vote for us. Surprisingly, many countries that we actually think are part of the Pan-African narrative did not fall part to us. So you wonder whether Pan-Africanism is based in the lower region of Africa. And there is much more, or there are many African states among in the African continent. I want to argue that Kenya needs to reflect whether it's the big brother that he thinks it is. I think South Africa is much more better perceived by the major African nations. Colonial history, but also because of their diplomatic relations with other people. But there is also more to learn. Victor, those who are privy to the happenings in the AU, inside the hall where sent out, says that what happened to Raila perhaps could have contributed a lot to his loss, in the sense that the actual him, that was his time to face all the 49 of them. Of course, there were 49 because three African countries were barred from voting because of political issues in their country. I think Guinea is one of them. Yeah. But it is said that while they were given a chance to now make the guys, ladies and gentlemen, who are going to vote for them, a speech had been prepared, picked the iPad from him so that he could ad-lib, he could speak right from his head. And it is said that speech, because he wasn't prepared, looks like it was another campaign opportunity now to speak to the hearts of these people, because somebody who felt, and here, that in as much as, yes, we blame Kenya, I think there is also a by people around Raila who are very abrasive, sometimes extremely aggressive to the how those actions could contribute. But Kenya indeed has to rethink, become more friendly, and by the time the AUC comes back to us, it will be, I think, another 16 years or so. We need to not to wait until it is a year and we start.
That requires a serious...
And it might go to another region.
And that raises the question whether Kenya should take a backseat.
The rotation.
Yeah, whether Kenya should take a backseat from these positions. Any effect, if we took a step. Lena, in 1 minute, before we take a break.
I don't think we should really take a break. I think what we should actually do is front our self-diplomacy. We're offering outside there. Let us not play politics when diplomacy is needed. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's take a break then. And we come back. There is a point that Lena raised, that the Gen Z effect had a serious effect. So I want us to come back home now. I want us to come back home. Let's come from Addis and come back home and talk about local politics as far as this is concerned. Lena, are you happy now? I am. All right. We'll be
Mwingi tugikuthokia Embu County, the land of opportunities. Kambunene ya Ngemi FM.
Twegagure na kamwetha ka maviu metu. Muroro kiande tukunye maire na murori tuthie thokore besa mivukore cha.
Njemure cietu cia thitima na ronje rwathagana nyamu cia kithaka igitugemeria bururi wetu wa mbere Embu County ngemi komuno tukianirira na mugambo munene eno ni Ngemi FM musie wa urata eno ni nyumba nene musie wa urata
Ngemi FM 103.5.
Greetings in the name of the Most High, Jah Rastafari. My good name is Marley Moses, the positive warrior, alongside...
Yes, sir, DJ D-Rage, the baddest. Each and every Wednesday from 10 p.m. Channel 1 TV.
Tunakuletea the biggest reggae party in 254 in a yard extra. Extra niceness of reggae music.
Extra dose of entertainment.
When the thing is not
twice.
All right, and welcome back. So, Lena, what are you talking about Gen Z? This is very close to your heart. You said the Gen Z effect again on Kenya's performance in Addis, but then let's bring it back home. So it's all done. The whole AUC debate is now behind us. Is coming back home to a position that we all know, to Kenya that we all know, the political temperature that we all know. And right now, we are looking at a situation where everything there is going to be revolving towards 2027. We cannot avoid talking about the cannot avoid talking about the NADCO report. We can't ignore talking about the issue to do with IBC, the selection panel, which will have their members sometimes in May or something. Locally, as we speak, politically.
With now the loss of Raila Amolo Odinga, I think now we are going to be witnessing some political realignments, because one of the things that people used to really say, the political environment will depend on Baba winning or Baba losing. And so now that he has lost and is back into the country, we now have to consider that he's going to become an influential figure in That's why I think for the last just 2-3 days after his loss right now, we can already see that Baba is like that lady who men are trying to win. Everyone, even Rigathi is, trying to pull his side. Then we have the presidents, the president and his friends, all that. And because they know that if Baba today makes a decision, it will entirely affect. So if Baba, I don't really know what step Baba is going to take. But from what see with the UDA or rather Kenya Kwanza coalition members is that they are trying, it's like they want to contain him. So they would want to give him something to make chaos, number one, or number two, they think that there's something that could be boiling on the other side, especially now that there's a decision by the court on who is the majority and minority, a discussion that is going on. So I think in the near future, actually in this week, I'm just praying that we have a lot you can be able to hear politicians speak. I think from that we'll be able to deduce what Baba's plan is. Yes.
Wafula, she's also raised a point in as far as this is concerned. Your party leader is facing a lot of heat.
Not really, but the way she has said realignment after Baba, and also the game plan of 2032. That is the issue. When there is some so-called human rights groups took a motion discuss against the speaker, but it was turned down because the only people who can raise that is this member of parliament who can against the speaker, because they are the one who elected the speaker. So I know after that one, there is maybe some people, some member of parliament from the other side, the mountain, apply motion. We are waiting to see. But the president is also clever. He knows very well after losing the mountain, he cannot attack the bloc of Luya Nation. The former DP Kajagwa was actually praying that if the Luya Nation could win, they can make a point in the next election. So that is the prayers. The way she said that even the refugees is praying that Baba should come back. And actually that is what I said, that praying that Raila should lose the election so that he comes back and then join them to work against Ruto. But at the moment, she has said this week we are going to have so many things happening. And like last time I told you, it's very difficult for me to go out of the country for more than 10 days. So and I'll be asking myself, now this one is episode Nabangapi. So I rather stay around and see the episode after episodes. So in this week we are going to see so many things. And from where I sit, and the way my friend says that you cannot sell a newspaper Standard if Raila is not on the top.
He wasn't specific.
And actually it was a fact, yeah? Like the other weekend, I was in Western, and the newspaper vendor was complaining that it's not selling the newspaper. Why? This newspaper is abusing Wetangula. So people are not buying the newspaper. It was standard. It was standard. People are not buying.
Okay.
So this week, we are going to see so many things. We are waiting. There is a member of parliament who is being pushed by the former deputy.
Who is that member of parliament?
I can't mention him right now. You'll see him. He'll come to the parliament. He'll he want to table the speaker. That one is coming.
All right.
But we know where it's being generated from. But all said and done, the government right now, if we keep on in this manner, Kenya Kwanza regime might finish their 5 years without major project done.
Okay. Gilbert, what do you make of that? Just take a break on that, Wafula, because people said Raila should go, Raila should come back. Why Raila? The country has to happen. I mean, to go on, we have a president, the government in place.
Yeah, the reason why Raila becomes that bride that every man would like to have, but she's not saying yes to any yet, is because he... Raila is one, those who have been around him, Raila is like almost like Wetangula in Bungoma. The difference is that between Raila and Wetangula is that Wetangula's constituency just is in Bungoma. How many MPs? If 4 or 5. Yes, but Raila's...
Right now it has grown to Luya Nation.
Oh, now you are mechanically pushing it to the Luya Nation. Yes, but the fact of Raila has more political capital than many of politicians in the Republic. And therefore, you know that if you have Raila in your pocket, you come with a constituency from the Luo Nyanza region first and foremost. Then the pockets, of course, that, of course, to be relevant. A day in politics is like 1,000 years. Nobody ever knew, even President Ruto himself did not know at any one point that he would be in, let me call it, in bed with Raila Odinga. He trashed it for all Raila were together. So politicians respond to the exigencies of the day. They respond to the political interests as, you know, time dictates. Perhaps I would like to perhaps add to Wafula's voice is that I don't think Wetangula will leave the speaker's seat. Why? In politics, in competition, politics wins. In any case, the law that we interpret are actually made by the lawmakers in parliament. I do not think that it will be an opportunity for to lose his political arm by making Wetangula go, because once Wetangula goes, that's 500,000 votes in Bungoma already gone.
No, the Luya Nation, not 500.
No, let's hypothetically.
They feel like you are fighting the whole community.
No,
it's not just Bungoma.
Bwana Wafula, that's not a fact, because if you look at the Vihiga for the position of Mudavadi, if you look at Kakamega,
it is true, but you know why?
Yeah, hear me out, please. If you look at Kakamega, they essentially vote for the ODM. If you look at Trans Nzoia, because of the cosmopolitan nature, it shifts. So it Ford Kenya, and that's why they have had MPs like Cheranganyi keeps changing. But if you look at the counties, Kakamega, those counties basically have different political alignments. Bungoma is at the stranglehold of Wetangula. But of course, if wishes were horses, then it's going to be a better ride for Wetangula.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
So, yeah. So I think Speaker, our brothers from from Nyanza continue to enjoy the trappings of power. As you can see, it makes Kenya Kaluma everybody very excited, because that's really what. Continue to support Ruto, especially because they would want to punish Gachagua for this kind of behavior. I used to talk and refer to Raila with this. I don't think Luos will forgive him for, you know, in the Luo culture, when you're speaking to a man and you put your hand like this, you put your fingers like this, the height of disdain for that particular. Perhaps his communication handlers should teach him how to gesture so that it does not spoil for you. That used to be his character in when.
Okay. Interesting, interesting. But Lena, what do you really think is going to happen in the country? Let's not stretch it too far. Within 1 month, what's going to happen?
Wow. Hey.
In just a month.
It's really going to be quite a lot, especially now, just like I had said, with Raila coming back home, what he would really want. You saw, I think the other time when, what is it called, was doing a presser, he said, it's going to be messy, it's going to be even smelly.
And with casualties.
Yes, and with casualties. So we are really expecting that there will be a lot. I'm also looking forward to see how this issue of Wetangula is going to be handled, the speaker. And also now we are also going to see whether the young people, are what is the next step for the young people? Are they going to keep on calling the government? Will they probably retreat back, or what is really going to happen? But all in all, Victor, I think we are ready for the Afro cinema or police cinema, if I can call it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, the youth right now, in the voices, they are waiting for 2027 to act. You know, they spoke last demonstrations, but the government did not take them seriously, and they did not. They understood the youth different way. They didn't, even I think up to now. You know, the issue of Gen Zs were actually of our national resources. Accountability. When you see just yesterday, now is a minister with a lot of cash flashing around. These Gen Zs feel like they are robbing from us. So if we cannot work out on how to control this on expenditure, government expenditure, Gen Z are bitter, and they will vote differently if we cannot take them right now, take this issue seriously right now, take this matter very seriously. Gen Z will make a voice in 2027. And we are here together, Victor, you'll see this.
Yeah.
Gen Z are going to speak loud and clear. The government, right now, I think if I could be advisor, like the way Nania asked President to be his personal advisor, Salasia, I could advise him that around selling government projects, I mean plans. Let him concentrate on government, at least moving the country forward. That is, let other people policies and development and everything. Let him keep quiet. Right now, even if he said, we are doing this, people will say, wongo, wongo, wongo. When it is actually doing it. Like that road of Mogadishu, Isiolo, around where there. I went there, I'm a consultant there, in that road. The road, Chinese are making it. But when he was in Isiolo speaking on that road, people in Isiolo, it's true, the road is being constructed. So the best thing, the advisor should I tell him to keep off. I remember there is a time when Michuki, during Kibaki's time, I happened to accompany this guy, this guy who was from Kakai, who splitted money in helicopter. Is got
Livondo?
Livondo. Yes, Livondo. I went to his office. Livondo, you know what? If I go out and make any statement, people will not believe on me. People will see that I'm the government sent. I'm defending the government. So please, if you want any response, and go make this statement clear to people, because we are doing it. Now it should be applied to this government. Right now, if people around the president go out to make any information that they are making this, they are building this, people will not take them seriously. So they should take a different turn, even the president himself.
The good book reminds us that we should always remind
No. Right now, if you know, Gen Z are different.
Keep on reminding them.
Yeah, Gen Z are thinking differently.
Okay.
Can I respond to what he has said, just briefly?
Go ahead.
You know, when you don't know that it's going to rain when it begins to rain, when you begin to see the clouds. Actually, what we saw last year were just merely clouds, and these were clouds where the young people were calling for accountability. Now, we made a point, yes, that time, but what we raised, has it been implemented? And you see, we don't really have to get to 2027 for the Gen Z to wake up we are going to disrupt the government. No, it just needs a trigger. And from the look of things, I think we're already being triggered when they say that they are going to create extra positions for the former Prime Minister. And we are sure that this position will not just come as one position. There may be introduction of more positions. So if the definitely we are going to have a problem. We don't really need to get to 2027 for Gen Z to raise their issues.
That's what's on the front page of the Standard. So you are not for that. Yes, Wafula, just Standard, just give it to her kindly. When you look at that position, the NADCO report is still, not fully implemented. So what I'm trying to say is that the NADCO report should be left to sit where it is.
I don't think, we really had conversations on NADCO, but we didn't really have exclusive conversations as a country, especially because there were the protests by the young people. And so some of the things that were put in the don't think they are the reflection of the whole country. They are just the reflection of the political elites.
What would you wish for?
I would wish for something that is really working towards the development of the country, economic development, inclusivity of the young people, but not looking for positions for the politicians. Yes.
I think it's good for the Gen Z is a mirage. The Gen Z narrative is a mirage in the sense that, when you're young in your teens and early 20s, you think your fathers until you get to your 30s and you start listening to the kind of music they are listening to. You don't know the effect that they have had on you. The way Gen Z has come, Gen Z is a reactionary group that is not building political muscle that they are going to use in 2027. If the Gen Z we are speaking about is still focusing on the President Ruto, then they are waiting to will be campaigning against President Ruto. If that candidate is Gachagua, we wonder whether we'll vote for Gachagua because politics does not happen overnight. But I want to expand it a little bit. If you look at the Gen Z in Wamunyoro, who likely is his political candidate? You can answer that question. If you look at the Gen Z in Bungoma, who is likely? Wafula can answer that. If you look at the Gen Z in Nyanza, who is likely their political candidate? But within, of course, Nairobi as a cosmopolitan, there are so many people who perhaps may not subscribe to this. What are their political numbers? I know that the country will give their political muscle behind. We'll have a better candidate by the simple fact that the younger population are usually they're bigger, greater than the older population. But politics is, you decide when it is very late. Presented to you, we are told there are 3 candidates, who are you going to vote for? So unless the Gen Z are working towards voting for a particular candidate, and we only have 2 years to election, Afro cinema, she says, but it is not going to be as smooth.
I want to ask a question to all of you. What now? Because there is one subject here that we are talking about, Raila Odinga. And the other person is the Gen Z. So what if Raila says that he's going to kurudisha mkono, as many people would purport that he's going to kurudisha mkono to work with the government till the end? Wafula, what did you make of that?
Those are prayers for... Those are prayers, good prayers for the government of the day. Because if they'll contain Raila, they'll do manner of things they want to do.
Okay.
Yeah, but... song is differently, quite different.
Tell us, what's the song?
Because the way she said, Gen Zs, at a point they said, Baba, relax, leave it to us. Let us deal with it. They'll tell Baba, please relax, it's our turn. It will come within different versions. So keep I think that is the prayer of the government of the day, so that they can work, feel comfortable in their operation until 2027.
What are you thinking?
I think like the government should just embark on national development, reduce debt, and also create, good expenditure.
What of Honorable Raila Odinga? What should he do?
Right now, I remember one time when Eugene Wamalwa said that Raila is a person that you can hate him partially, love him partially. That's Raila. And it is true because Raila, the government can absorb Raila right now, just like that time of Tinga and Jogo. Tinga, Raila said, Jogo imemesa Tinga. Now, unfortunately, they forgot to put off the engine.
Yeah.
So riding inside the Jogo. So right now, finally, the Jogo has tamed the Tinga and we are out again.
Okay.
So in this one, even if the government want to Raila, should be at least in, the goodness, Ruto knows Raila very well, and Raila knows Ruto. Let us see this episode.
The way you've scattered around, you've not answered my, and I know, you've not answered my question.
But I'm itching to say something.
Go ahead. He's not answered my question. I know why.
Yeah. They say the medium is the message. The dilemma of Ruto, absolute Ruto supporters. He's the chairman of Ford Kenya, and Ford Kenya is basically a party within Ruto's camp. But you see how he speaks from both sides of the mouth. Ruto is doing this, and at the same time, Wetangula supports Ruto 100%. And that is a challenge to experience because he's that Mbugua. You remember the advert of Mbugua? Yeah. Anasukuma gari kwenye mteremko, anauza biashara, anafanya kila kitu. I wish Ruto could take a step back and perhaps presidency is very easy. You just sit and ask people, say one word and you go and sleep and everybody. But he's a person who is doing everything for himself, making communications very hard for him to his mind, so that whatever he says, like the road from that Modogashi that Gachagua has made Joko, it was done, but it looks like the man comes to show you how he's able to cram things, and people are saying we are not in a cram. This has been done. So sometimes, when people have attributed you to lying so much, even when you say the truth, they think you're lying. So the medium is a crucial point.
Lena.
Yes. For me, I think really primarily Raila has two choices, which is number one, to really go back and meditate whether, he should come back to the Raila that we used to know, or number two, to government. And if he chooses number one choice, that means that he'll have to work on his party. He may probably want to probably vie in 2027 or endorse someone from his party to vie. And I think from that, we can induce the fact that he may also want to work with like-minded individuals, people probably like the Kalonzo Musyoka or even other people within the field who have that political capacity. The second chance, which is to support the government. I'm really asking myself, then what after? What happens after 2027? Does ODF just die? What really happens? Is this going to be a support that time support, or what really will be the bargaining point of it? Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Before you go, there is this issue and I need to pick your legal minds in this. The issue of the position in the National Assembly. Of course, there are issues. Gilbert, because now the way Jeanette put it, it's going to be noisy, messy, and with casualties. Noise is slowly coming down.
Yeah, because Baba was still at Addis Ababa.
Right.
When Baba comes back, he will bring his boys to order. Whatever Baba will tell his boys is what will carry the day. The messy, whatever, Jeanette has the capacity to over-dramatize as a but he's an absolute Baba supporter. Baba is not leaving Ruto anytime soon, and it will continue. Status quo is going to exist. Yeah.
Does it have any effect based on what the court pronounced and now the declaration by the speaker?
You know the way courts work, until someone goes there, the courts will not, you are not executing, so we want to punish you. No, they will just watch. If nobody goes to court, and the person who needs to repeal this, to appeal this judgment is Parliament itself. But the clerk has essentially given a position around Wetangula. It lies with the MP. One must raise a motion against the speaker. I will tell you for a fact that that motion will not see the light of day, because you cannot preside over. Somebody else has to do it. So status quo is going to continue. The Gachagua wing is hoping that the ODM is going to help them. But the ODM side knows, have a history of Gachagua, how he was, and they are quite careful not to be with him, because they will feel that this guy conveniently wants us, because when we needed him, he wasn't. Cool, but the political tempo is going to continue going up, particularly on that side of the mountain.
Lena, your version of that? And even now that the position of the PS organization, the government, a lot is still in store, actually.
I really want to disagree with my brother here, Gilbert. For me, I really think, just like I've said, it will depend with what the position that Baba is going to take. And you know, sometimes you have to be clear in the first. But from the people that surround him, you can clearly see that it is, because you can see Baba really speak just gently about President Ruto, but someone like the SG, Sifuna, and these other people are out there pushing for the majority. And you see right now, I think there would be that want for ODM to really want to reclaim its dominant space.
That's an interesting way of looking at it. So who is who now?
Well, you see, that's where the confusion comes in politics.
No, when SG speaks, it's Baba speaking.
Yes, exactly. I like it. Thank you for supporting me.
It's Baba speaking, but you know.
So finally, you agree with the Lena, continue.
And for me, I think in one way the impeachment motion that is being may be brought into the Parliament and on the members. I cannot really say which direction they are going to take, because also you see Wetangula has a bit of support from Kenya Kwanza, but I feel compromise on some of the things, because there has been a discussion with Wetangula being told, fold your parties that you can join. So this could also be a bargaining point within the political parties to get him to join, to fold his party and join, or to resign and leave.
Wafula is not happy about that.
I know.
Wafula, you're not happy about that.
Of course, we are not going to fold up the party. That is, even Kajagwa said, I didn't know. If I knew, I could have gone. Yeah. So we have learned a lesson. We are not going to fold a party. Fort Kenya is going to remain. And if we fold a party of like Fort Kenya,
because you cannot have two positions. You are the
it's not, this a lawyer, he's a lawyer, he can tell you, it's very clear that the speaker is a member of Parliament. And also, in the same law, it says that a member of Parliament can come from a political party candidate. So you can see, if he's a member of Parliament, then he's not obliged to be, he's obliged to be from a political party, he can hold it. There is nowhere that denies him to any political party. Yes.
Okay. All right. Let's wrap it up that. But let me remind you that the country is also mourning. We lost Member of Parliament, that is Moses Malulu Injendi. Yesterday, as per the communication that came from the Speaker of the National Assembly, Malulu Injendi was actually serving his third term as a member of Parliament of that constituency, and he was also the Vice Chair of the Departmental Committee on Education and Research. Go that, and by the way, we also lost Baringo Senator William, who also succumbed on Saturday. So both National Assembly and the Senate lost members. Lena.
Send my condolences to probably the family and the constituents that have lost their leader. Yes.
Great. Wakili?
Yeah, I would also like to send my condolences to the people of Baringo Central. Gideon Moi has gotten an opportunity to finally come back to a position he lost. Malulu Injendi of Malava, we were there 2 weeks ago. We also send our condolences. But also I would like to extend education fraternity. The chair of KEPSHA, Johnston Zioka, passed 2 days ago in a Christie Road accident on Mombasa Road. I would like to send my condolences to the KEPSHA fraternity. I know they work very closely with Nat. I know that they were very close. I would like to share my grief and send my condolences to those two groups of people.
He was a member of Jubilee Party. Perhaps you worked together closely?
Who?
Malulu.
Malulu, yeah, I know Malulu very well. I have been at his home. He's a good man. He's a man who makes a decision wisely. And the man who can... I know him very well. I just want to send my condolence to the family of Malulu Injendi and also Kipto and KEPSHA chair who got an accident. We will be in prayers with them.
Thank you.
Yes.
Asante sana. All right, let's wrap it up there. So let's wait for more information that will be coming, and of course it has to be communicated by the National Assembly or the family as we expect. Lena Martin and political analyst, thank you so much for joining us. Wakili Gilbert Awino, who is also strategic communications expert, is also a lawyer. Asante sana for coming to the show today. And Mzee wa Kazi, Mzee wa Nyumba today, who is Wafula, who is also for the Kenya chairman Trans Nzoia County.
Talking badly here. Chepkat, I'm not Chepkat.
We'll do this again next break. JMK continues by the other side of radio. Have a good morning. Bye-bye.
Are you a talented artist, or are you a topic you want to discuss? But money can be very hard to find for an upcoming artist. Don't worry, Studio Machine back. Sign up on ajira.co.ke to book a session with your music and video producers across the country. Work on your music, jingles, spoken words, and even podcasts to realize your dream. All for Studio Mashinani, Radani Talent.
You and our director, how did you two meet? I've never seen you come before for shooting.
I passed by the studio today and saw a boy, tall and handsome. How's this enough? I know clearly about your appetite. You want to save money?
Okay. I'm just saying, you don't need to pay. Well, can I use a group coupon?
Oh, you can.
Wakati mwingine tena tunapokutana kwenye kipindi hiki ambapo tunajadili masuala mbalimbali yenye umuhimu wa kitaifa. Mpenzi mtazamaji, kumbuka mtazamaji, kigeni almaarufu Foreign Affairs Policy ni muhimu kwa taifa lolote lile ulimwenguni. Mahusiano na mataifa ya kigeni aghalabu husaidia kwa masuala ya kidiplomasia, pia maswala ya kiusalama na kadhalika. Mtazamaji, utakumbuka kwamba tangu Kenya kuweza kupata uhuru wake, taifa hili limekuwa katika mstari wa mbele katika kuendeleza mahusiano mema na mataifa ya kigeni ya kimataifa kama vile Umoja wa Kimataifa, vile vile pia Benki ya Dunia ulimwenguni, na vile vile pia Shirika la Fedha ulimwenguni yani IMF. Mtazamaji, wadau mbalimbali wamesifu ukuaji wa Kenya kidiplomasia na haswa katika masuala ya sera za kigeni. Shiriki katika mipango ya kuleta amani katika mataifa mbalimbali yakiwemo Somalia, Ivory Coast, Jamhuri ya Kidemokrasia ya Kongo, vile vile pia kwa sasa kule Liberia, Sierra Leone na mataifa mengi zaidi. Kumbuka kumekuwa na vikundi ambavyo vinatishia usalama wa mataifa kadha wa kadha, na Kenya wamekuwa katika hilo. Hapa barani Afrika, Kenya imekuwa ikijaribu kuwa katika mstari wa mbele kuimarisha sera zake za kigeni. Kuna wataalamu mbalimbali wanaosema Kenya bado ni kiongozi katika masuala ya kigeni. Kuna wale pia wanaosema taifa hili kidiplomasia na masuala ya kigeni limeenda chini. La muhimu ni je, Kenya nafasi yake kimataifa? Kenya inastahiki kufanya nini kuimarisha sera zake kimataifa? Na je, sera ya Kenya inatoa mwongozo upi kuhusu ya Kenya kimataifa? Tuandike na mate ilhali wino upo, ili kutusaidia kuelewa swala hili kwa undani zaidi. Ndani ya studio, mpenzi msikilizaji, tunaye mshambulizi matata wa timu ya bunge ya Nolfason Barongo, mbunge wa Boma Choge Borabu, anachezea Bunge FC. Huyu mheshimiwa muone hivi anagula kushoto akipiga crossing. Sijui Manchester United mnasubiri nini? Simumsajili huyu Barongo bana. Haya, vile vile pia kule mbali kabisa yuko Meshak Odede, mchanganuzi wa masuala ya kisiasa. Huyu bwana ukimfungulia mic utajua ujui. Na vile vile pia katikati niko naye ndugu yangu Mimano Kimunyi wa masuala ya kimataifa. Karibuni sana nyote watatu ndani ya studio zetu.
Asante sana.
Labda nikianza na mchezaji wa kulipo, mheshimiwa Nolfason Barongo. Kenya imekuwa kiongozi katika masuala ya kigeni na kidiplomasia. Kwa ni nini kimepelekea Kenya kuwa na nafasi kama hii? Kwa sababu Kenya inatambulika sana si Afrika bali pia ulimwenguni kwa ujumla.
Shukran sana Rashid. Mwanzo kabisa ningeomba unipatie nafasi kuomboleza mwenzangu Malulu Njendi, mbunge wa Malava, na pia kuwapigia pole kubwa sana kwa niaba ya watu wa Boma Choge Borabu Kenya wa sehemu hiyo ya Malava, pamoja pia na kujiunga na wenzangu wengine pia kumwomboleza Seneta William Cheptumo ambaye anawakilisha eneo Baringo. Tungependa kusema pole na tunaomba kwamba Mungu azilaze roho hawa viongozi mahali pema peponi. Tukikuja kwenye Kenya kuwa kiongozi katika masuala ya kigeni, Kenya mwanzo kabisa ukiangalia location yake kwenye kanda kwenye bara la kwamba tuko katika hii getaway ya kutoka kwa bara la Hindi. Kenya iko situated kwa hiyo coastline, na Kenya ni usisahau pia ni mshiriki mkubwa sana Jumuiya ya Afrika Mashariki. I think wakati huu William Ruto ndiye mwenyekiti wa jumuiya hiyo ya mataifa ya Afrika Mashariki. Na pia ukiangalia katika masuala ya military, Kenya ni moja wapo ya nchi ambazo ziko na jeshi ambayo iko na jeshi ambayo iko very professional, ambayo imeshiriki katika mataifa mengine katika kuleta amani. Kumbuka kwamba Kenya kwa wakati huu iko na kikosi chake katika nchi kuleta amani katika nchi hiyo. So Kenya ni nchi ambayo hauwezi ignore katika masuala ya kigeni.
Pondo kauli anaosema Mheshimiwa Olfason Barongo ni kweli tokiangalia hapa Afrika Mashariki na Kati, basi utaona kwamba Kenya ndio kuna afisi kubwa sana za kama Umoja wa Mataifa hapa Gigiri, na vile vile pia tuna balozi nyingi sana, kumaanisha kwamba ni mzuri. Nende kule mbali kabisa kwake ndugu yangu Odede. Bwana Odede, Kenya inajivunia masuala ya kidiplomasia katika masuala ya kiuchumi, mazingira, amani na usalama kama alivyosema kadhalika. Je, unahisi masuala haya yanajitokeza vipi katika swala zima la sera za kigeni?
Mimi kwangu mimi naona kwamba Wakenya wanafaa kujivunia uhusiano wamekuwa nao na mataifa mengi, si mataifa tu za mbali, lakini hata mataifa za Kiafrika. Sababu gani nitasema hivi? Ukiangalia historia ya mataifa mengi barani Afrika, kwamba Kenya ni mmoja wa mataifa machache sana ambao hawakupigana hata wao wenyewe kwa wakati. Unakumbuka kwamba mataifa mengi hata sasa hivi bado wako katika vita za kivyao ndani, na wengine wamekuwa na vita na nchi majirani, lakini Kenya kwa historia yake mpaka sasa hivi hatuoni Uganda, hakuna wakati tulienda vita na Tanzania au mataifa mengine. So uhusiano wetu umekuwa mzuri hapa nyumbani barani Afrika na pia kule kwingine. Ukiangalia hata mabalozi ambao wako Kenya, utakuta kwamba balozi wa Uingereza hapa wanaangalia nchi zingine kama 6-7 hivi. Ukiangalia balozi ya Israel, Amerika na wengine hao, utakuta kwamba wako base Kenya, alafu sasa wanaangalia nchi zingine ambao wako hapa karibu majirani. Hiyo inamaanisha kwamba mataifa ngambo ile ingine wanaamini Kenya kushinda wengine, na mataifa ambao pia wako hapa karibu wanaamini Kenya kwa sababu wanaweza kuja wachukue zile vitu wanataka, hata kama ni wanaweza ingia Kenya bila tatizo, wachukue katika zile mabalozi na waende mahali wanaenda.
Asante Bwana Odede. Nikirudi kwako ndugu yangu, hapa sera ya masuala ya kigeni ina uhusiano upi na maendeleo ya taifa? Je, labda sera ya sasa ya masuala ya kigeni ya taifa hili? Ni hivi majuzi tu ambapo nilimuona Rais Daktari William Ruto akiwa katika jumba la KICC na pamoja na Wizara ya Mashauri ya Nchi za Kigeni, ambapo ni kama wali-update
Asanti Rashid. Na tukiangalia sana katika uhusiano wa kimataifa, kuna uelewano na uwazi kuwa hakuna nchi inaweza kujikimu, inaweza kujitosheleza ikiwa peke yake. Kwa hivyo lazima kila nchi iwe na uhusiano mmoja ama mwingine na nchi majirani na hata nchi. Tukiangalia katika nchi yetu, hakuna upana mrefu kati ya maendeleo ya nchi na pia sera za nchi. Kwa mfano, wakati ambapo Kenya inahitaji tunakubali kwamba biashara ni njia moja ambayo nchi inafanya diplomasia yake na nchi zingine na wahusika wengine wa kimataifa. Nchi haina uhusiano mwema, haina mpangilio mzuri ambao unausaidia kupanga biashara vizuri na nchi jirani na mashirika mengine ambayo yanashiriki katika biashara, utapata nchi itakuwa biashara ikinoga ama ikiwanufaisha wananchi. Nikiendelea ninaweza sema kwa mfano, wakati tunaendelea wakati huu, ukiona wakati misukasuko ya aina yake maeneo tofauti. Kwa mfano, wakati kumekuwa na misukasuko mingi pale Middle East, kumekuwa na shida, na ukiangalia ulimwengu mzima ile bidhaa ya mafuta isipande bei, kwa sababu ikipanda bei kufuatia hiyo misukasuko, mchumi ya nchi tofauti utaumia. Kwa hivyo sera ya nchi ni muhimu sana, na iwapo sera ya nchi vizuri, haijafuatiliwa vizuri, haijapangiliwa vizuri, nchi haitanufaika vizuri ama vilivyo ile ingenufaika iwapo ingepanga kuwa na uhusiano mwema na mashirika mengine. Kwa hivyo sera ya nchi inaweza fanya nchi iendelee au ikwame katika bidii yake ya kunufaika na kukua kimaendeleo. Na hauwezi ukatofautisha nchi sheria ya nchi na siasa za nchi, zote zinahusika, zinaambatana. Kwa hivyo lazima kuwe na mpango na maono katika uongozi ambao unaona vizuri ngilio ambayo itaweza kuharvest zile manufaa ambazo zinaweza patikana katika sera na uhusiano wa nchi zingine.
Bila shaka ni uchanganuzi wa masuala ya kimataifa na sera za kigeni. Labda nikirudi kwako Mheshimiwa Nolfason Barongo, mwaka wa 2007 Kenya nusura itumbukie katika machafuko ya kisiasa, na uliona Kenya mpaka kukatumwa watu waweze kuja kuhakikisha hali iko vizuri. Na hivi majuzi pia katika uchaguzi wa mwaka 2022 tu kidogo kulitaka kutokea msukosuko, na ikasemekana kwamba kulikuwa majadiliano. Yani kiufupi, Kenya kukichemka tu kidogo ulimwengu mzima unaangalia unataka kuwe sawa. Kwa nini wanatujali hivi? Kwa nini wameweka ama macho yao sana kwa nchi ya Kenya?
Wa mataifa ya kigeni nchini, kwa mfano Amerika, kwa mfano Uingereza, ukiangalia level ya investment wameweka katika nchi yetu, haiwezi kuruhusu nchi kama hii kutumbukia ndani ya lindi la shida. Ningependa kusema kwamba ni level ya uwekezaji wa mataifa hayo katika nchi yetu ambayo pengine nchi hizo kupata hasara kubwa sana iwapo siasa ya Kenya itapelekea Kenya kusambaratika. So na pia nafasi ambayo Kenya ina occupy kwenye bara la Afrika. Angalia, kuna bidhaa mingi sana ambazo zinapitia port yetu ya Mombasa. Ikiwa kutatatizika siasa ya Kenya, basi mataifa kama Uganda, Kongo yanapokea bidhaa nyingi sana kupitia kwa port yetu ya Mombasa, yatatatizika pakubwa sana. So Kenya ina occupy nafasi ambayo ni katika biashara, katika trade, ambayo pengine haiwezi ruhusu siasa yetu ikiharibika ama ikiathirika, italeta hasara kubwa sana kwa mataifa jirani. Kwa hivyo kitovu cha maana sana katika jumuiya hii yetu ya Afrika Mashariki.
Na labda hapo kabla kurudi kwa wenzetu wawili, Mheshimiwa Barongo, umeelezea vizuri kwamba wekeza katika taifa la Kenya na katu hayatotaka mambo yaweze kuharibika. Je, unahisi kwamba kuna kitu positive haya mataifa yanapata kutoka kwa Kenya, ndiposa anything small katika katibu mkuu Umoja wa Mataifa yuko Nairobi?
Obviously goes without saying. Lazima iwe kwamba uwekezaji ambao wameweka Kenya una nchi zao, na inaonekana kwamba ikiwa Kenya itatatizika, basi nchi hizo pia zitatatizika. Ndio, angalia bases za Amerika ama bases za Uingereza katika nchi yetu. Na these bases haya manchi yanazitumia katika kuangalia kwamba zile threats kama tuseme for example Al-Qaeda na haya mashirika mengine ambayo yanahusiana na mambo ya kigaidi, kuhakikisha kwamba hizi bases zinatumika katika kuangalia kwamba threats kwa haya kwa contained. So ikiwa kwamba nchi yetu itatatizika kwa namna moja ama nyingine kiulinzi, basi haya mataifa yanahisi kwamba security yao haitakuwa na ndio sababu darubini huwa imelengwa katika nchi yetu kuhakikisha kwamba nafasi yetu ambayo tunashirikiana na haya mataifa kuhakikisha kwamba usalama sio wa nchi yetu pekee, lakini nchi hizi ambazo zimefanya uwekezaji ndani ya nchi yetu kuhakikisha kwamba wakati wowote huo usalama unaimarika na unaonekana ambao uko sustainable, ili kwamba iwe neutralize. Kumbuka Kenya sisi wenyewe tumeathirika pakubwa sana na mambo ya ugaidi katika nchi yetu. So ushirikiano wa namna hii ile, na ndio sababu nchi yetu kiwango ambacho unaona.
Ningependa pia kuongeza kidogo hapo, ili tutambue kwamba Kenya ni nchi ambayo ulimwengu mzima ambayo ina kitu ambacho ni kile na United Nations offices zile ziko hapa Nairobi. Na kwa sababu ya hiyo dunia mzima, nchi zote karibu zote lazima katika hizi nchi zina za balozi za kibalozi ambazo ziko katika Kenya kufuatilia masuala yao katika eneo la Afrika Mashariki na pengine mpaka Afrika mzima. Kwa hivyo wakati ambapo hakuna usalama, hakuna amani katika Kenya, nchi nyingi zitakuwa ile tunasema zitakuwa zimefungwa macho, kwa sababu hataweza kufuatilia masuala yao katika eneo la Afrika Mashariki na bara la Afrika kwa ujumla.
Asante. Nikirudi kwako, labda kwa sasa unafikiria masuala ya mahusiano ya Kenya na mataifa ya kigeni hususan ya Afrika yakoje, tukiangazia matokeo ya wenyekiti wa AUC hivi majuzi?
Labda mambo mawili. Tunapoangalia the place ya nchi ya Kenya katika bara Afrika, kando na uwekezaji na hayo mengine mandugu zetu wamesema, utakuta kwamba relation ya East Africa Community, kabla hatuja songa mbali, utakuta kwamba Wasomali wengi wako Kenya, wanaishi Kenya, wanafanya Tanzania, wa Uganda, wa Sudan, hata wa Rwanda. Kuna wale walikuja wakati wa 1990 katika zile vita zao na hawajarudi, wanachukulia Kenya kama compared to wa Kenya wale wanaishi Rwanda. Utakuta kwamba maybe a quarter ya wa Kenya ndio wanaishi Rwanda wakifanya biashara, lakini hiyo namba itakuwa double ama 3 times ukiangalia wa Rwanda wale. Ukiangalia tena wale ambao wamefurushwa pengine na vita kama Sudan na hizo vita za Somali, utakuta kwamba refugee camp ya ambayo iko hapa katika na imechukua wananchi wa nchi zingine ambapo wamefurushwa wakiwa hapa. So hata Umoja wa Mataifa wanaangalia Kenya kama sasa beacon. Alafu utakuta kwamba Constitution 2010 ya Kenya, katiba yetu ya 2010 imefungua milango for human rights. So Tanzania, Uganda ama nchi zingine zinatuzingira wako na katiba kama yetu ambayo inaruhusu a lot of human rights. So, wengi wangetaka kuenjoy. So tunapoangaliliwa kutoka ngambo ile ingine, wanaona kwamba Kenya ndio mahali hata kama pengine katiba yao haijaruhusu vitu fulani, refuge camp inaweza kuwa tu Kenya. Hiyo ndio nafasi ya Kenya globally na ndio nafasi ya Kenya katika Afrika. Lakini sasa tunaporudi AUC kura ambayo ilipigwa juzi, mimi sioni, kwa maoni yangu sioni kwamba ni mambo ya Kenya na nchi zingine. Pengine wengine wangependa kuiweka hapo, kwa sababu wakati tu kura imepigwa na pengine haujapata nafasi ya kuchukua uongozi ama kiti, kitu cha wanadamu itakuwa kwamba ni nani tunaweza mwekea blame. Shida ilikuwa wapi? Na mara nyingi hautaangalia ukose mahali unaweza weka shida. So mimi kwamba shida ni Kenya au kuna kitu Kenya ilifanya vibaya ama uhusiano yetu ni mbaya na nchi zingine. Naona kwamba shida pengine ni iko kwa viongozi. Kumbuka hii kura ilikuwa inapigwa na marais. Na hapo the selfish interest ya huyu kiongozi ni wanadamu kama sisi. Kila mtu ako na selfish desire yake ambayo saa zingine inajitokeza natural unaendea jambo fulani. So hawa maraisi 49 walikuwa 49. Kila mmoja wao ako na selfish desire yake akiangalia mambo ya hii kura. Pengine hiyo inaweza changia kwa sababu haitawaruhusu kuenda kwa mtu mwingine ambayo hata timiza hiyo selfish desire yake. So hiyo inaweza kuwa jambo la kwanza. Jambo la pili, kuna hiyo sasa ya kila nation, interest ya nation. Hata sisi kama Wakenya, kama hatungekuwa na candidate, na hata vile tulikuwa na candidate, our selfish desire ilikuwa wetu mmoja wetu awe kiongozi wa AUC. So hiyo kuna inchi ya wakuwa na candidate, but pia kama inchi wako na their selfish desire. So hiyo selfish desire yao kama hawakuona itatimizwa na huyu candidate wetu, ilibidi wapige kwingine, tutapata yetu tukipiga kule. So kama wananchi wa Kenya hatufai kujaribu kutafuta blame hapa nyumbani mara tuweke huyu. Hii kitu ni rahisi. Au maraisi 49 walikuwa kila rais anaangalia personal selfish desire, alafu tena anaangalia ya inchi yake. Alafu la mwisho, ofisi ya AUC chair ni ofisi kubwa. Na pengine hawa maraisi 49 including wetu, kuna wakati hiyo selfish desire inaweza kuambia kwa na ni hatari tukiweka mtu tena ambaye ako powerful sana, anaweza tusukuma. So pengine inaweza, kama ni mimi mmoja wao, pia naweza angalia kwa view ingine, nafaa kuweka mtu atatambua mimi kama rais. Pengine tukiweka mtu powerful sana alafu tena ofisi ni powerful, atatushinda kufanya.
Bwana Kimunyi, sijui na yapi ya kusema kulingana na kauli ya Mesha Coded?
Nafikiri na ukubaliana naye kwa kiasi. Mimi kwangu nikiangalia masuala yanayohusiana na diplomasia, ninaweza sema nikiangalia kutoka tulipopata uhuru wetu miaka 62 iliyopita, ninaona kumekuwa na maendeleo, na tunaona kwamba mambo ya diplomasia tunasema ni kucha. Leo ile interest anasema ilikuwa ya leo, kesho itakuwa imebadilika kabisa. Mimi nafikiri mimi ninatoa changamoto. Nafikiri ofisi yetu ya Wizara ya Mambo za Kigeni iko na hivyo, kwa sababu Kenya, vile mheshimiwa pia alitaja, inajulikana imeshiriki sana katika mambo ya diplomasia ulimwenguni, sio bara la Afrika peke yake. Na kuanzia letu mzee Jomo Kenyatta, Kenya imehakikisha imeshiriki hasa mambo ya kuleta amani katika maeneo tofauti. Jeshi letu limeshiriki katika dunia, hata bara la Europa, na tumeendelea vizuri. Lakini mimi nina hofu kidogo, kwa sababu nikiangalia kuanzia miaka 20 ilipovuka karne hii, tumeona Kenya imeshiriki katika nchi zingine kuzipa maelewano, amani. Nikiangalia Somalia, nikiangalia Sudani ya Kusini na nchi zingine, lakini kama hizi nchi hatutembei safari moja. Kwa mfano, ukiangalia hii kura yenye imepigwa juzi ya DRC, ya AUC, nchi ya DRC ile ya Kongo, ile mambo inatokea huko ilikuwa na uzito kidogo. Na ukiangalia nchi ya Djibouti ni nchi kadogo sana. Na ukikumbuka wakati Kenya ilikuwa inapigania kiti pale baraza Umoja wa Mataifa, unakumbuka Djibouti walikataa kabisa, wakaenda mpaka New York ambapo walienda kupigania. Nimesema hivyo kwa sababu nafikiri Kenya individually, kibinafsi, tunao watu ambao wamebobea katika mambo ya diplomasia. Nikitaja kwa mfano Washington Jalango, alienda pale South Africa wakati Afrika uhuru wao. Na unakumbuka Buthelezi alikuwa amekataa kujiunga na Mandela, na kulikuwa kunaonekana kama hiyo uhuru hautaweza kufanikiwa. Alienda huko na kaweza kutatua. Kwa hivyo kibinafsi tuko na uwezo, tuko na ujuzi na watu ambao wanaelewa. Na tukiendelea mbele, mimi naona hivi karibuni tumekuwa tukipoteza sana. Juzi mwaka wa 2015 hapo, huo muda unakumbuka Rwanda na Uganda walikosana na kukakuwa na mafarakano mpaka kumbuka Rais Uhuru alienda ile shuttle diplomacy, akaenda Rwanda, akaenda Uganda, na bado hawakuweza kuelewana. Ilibidi rais wa Angola ndio alifanya kupate kukuwa na maelewano. Kwa sababu nafikiria ofisi yetu ya mambo ya wizara ya mambo ya nchi za kigeni wanahitaji wakae chini, waangalie ni wapi tumepoteza hatua moja. Nafikiria kuna gap kidogo ambayo imetokea hapo, na inaweza kuwa pia ilifanya tupoteze hii nafasi ambayo tungepata mmoja wetu AUC. Kwa hivyo nafikiri pia hiyo ningesema mimi nikitamatisha, ningesema ni kama diplomasia yetu na sera za mambo ya nchi za kigeni iko kama ile twa dinosaur. Tulikuwa tumekaa katika hali ya hadhi sana, tulikuwa tunatambulikana, lakini tulitoshea tukutia bidii kuendelea na mambo ambayo yanatibuka katika uhusiano wa kimataifa. Kwa hivyo nchi zingine zimekuja na zina uwezo wa kuwa na ushawishi mkubwa kushinda Kenya.
Bila shaka nisikie kauli yake Mheshimiwa Nolfason Barongo in relation to what happened kule AUC. Je, unahisi kwamba kuna gap ya kidiplomasia kati ya Kenya na mataifa mengine bara?
Nikubaliane na wenzangu ya kwamba pengine kuna mambo ambayo hayakukaa vizuri sana na wale wa nchi ambao walipiga kura. Kumbuka ni siasa za wenyekiti wa tume ya mataifa ya Kiafrika. So kila mtu atakuweko na mtazamo ambao pengine wanaona Mheshimiwa Raila Odinga kama ambaye atakuja kuwa na nguvu nyingi zaidi, na pengine hilo likawa intimidate. Baliana na Mimano hapa akisema kwamba pengine kuna gafes ambazo tulifanya, kuna shida ukizingatia kwa mfano kumbuka kwamba nchi ya DRC ulitiwa moto, ukachomwa. Ni kwa sababu gani? Kwa nini Rais Tshisekedi ambaye ni rafiki kabisa karibu na Mheshimiwa Raila Odinga hakuweko katika kikao kile? Alionelea kwenda Paris na sikuwa katika uchaguzi huo. So kuna kama nchi tunaweza kuzipokea kutokana na uchaguzi huo, lakini nipende kuchukua nafasi hii kusema kongole kwa kiongozi wangu party Baba Raila Odinga kwa ile campaign nzuri ambayo alifanya. Kumbuka kulikuwa na mjadala wa nani ambaye anaonekana akiwa na umaarufu umaarufu wa kuongoza bara la Afrika. Ningependa kudokeza kwamba Raila Odinga alionekana shupavu, alionekana mtu ambaye yuko na busara katika ile interview. Na nipende kumpongeza kwa namna ambavyo aliwakilisha nchi. Na pia nishukuru Rais Ruto kwa support ambayo alimpatia kiongozi kinara wa Raila Odinga katika shughuli hii yote. Tusione hili kuwa hasara, tuangalie ili kuwa nafasi nzuri. Kumbuka kwamba the fact that tulikuwa na candidate yenyewe ni ishara ya fanya diplomasia. Until wakati election ilifanywa katika bara letu la Afrika bado ilikuwa inaonekana kama ni diplomasia ambayo tulifanya mpaka dakika ya mwisho wakati Yusuf alitangazwa kuwa mshindi. Na msisahau kwamba Raila ni kiongozi ambaye anajua kwamba kile ni kinyang'anyiro, na akipoteza yuko tayari, na alishinda mkono na kusema kwamba bara lote tupige foleni nyuma yake, tumpatie nguvu zile anazohitaji ili kuweza kupeleka bara letu mbele. Lakini nisisahau ile election ya AUC iko na structural setup ambayo ina favor sana, inawapendelea sana wale ambao wanazungumza lugha ya Kifaransa. Inapendelea sana mataifa ambayo yanaonekana kuwa ya Kiislamu. Ukiangalia ni wenye kiti wangapi katika mataifa yanayozungumza Kiingereza na ambayo pia ni ya Kikristo. Utaona kwamba pengine ni mmoja ama wawili. Election ya AUC iko na a structural setup ambayo kwa kawaida itakuwa inapendelea kiongozi yeyote ambaye anazungumza Kifaransa, ambaye ana Uislamu, na pia ambaye pengine anaumbwa anasapotiwa na mataifa ya Kiarabu. So wamedokeza kwamba hii election from the start pengine Raila Odinga hakuwa na nafasi nzuri kwa sababu yeye pengine si mweledi wa lugha ya Kifaransa, alafu pia yeye si Muislamu. So tusiangalie kwamba pengine tusione ikiwa hasara sana, na tusione kwamba tulipoteza, lakini tujifunze na need to be done ili mataifa ambayo hayahusiani na Kifaransa na wala, ili kwamba election inayokuja iweze kupatia mataifa mengine ambayo pia opportunity kiti hicho.
Rashid, wacha nilete angle lingine. Unajua sasa wakati Bwana Raila alijitokeza kwamba anataka kutafuta chair, Rais William Ruto aliweza kukubali jambo hilo na alitengeneza mkutano community leaders. Inamaanisha kwamba walipokuwa katika ile hall, kura ya kwanza, mkono wa kwanza Raila alipata 20, 18, alafu ule candidate wa Madagascar akapata 10. Sasa kinyang'anyiro sasa ilikuwa zile kura 10 za Riamandrato wakati aliondolewa jinsi ambayo katiba ama sheria ya uchaguzi ya AUC inasema. Sasa tulikuwa tuwe na pale ndani, si William Ruto peke yake. Tulikuwa tuwe na Suluhu, tulikuwa tuwe na Kir wa Sudan, tulikuwa tuwe na ule waziri, tulikuwa tuwe na Kagame, kwa sababu wote walikuja hapa Nairobi, tuliona sisi wote, wakaendorse, wakasema huyu ni candidate wa East Africa. So Raila alistop kuwa candidate. So tunaposema tulianguka, wote tumeanguka kama East Africa Community, na pale ndani wewe na mimi hatukukua. Sasa tunapokuwa na kinyang'anyiro za zile kura 10 ya Riamandrato, tujazie candidate yetu ashike mmoja, Museveni ashike mmoja, Kagame ashike mmoja, na mwingine na William Ruto ashike mmoja, tujazie Raila candidate wa East Africa Community. So mtu asiangalie kwamba ilikuwa William Ruto peke yake kule ndani, kwa sababu Ruto aliwaleta hapa na wote wakatupromise, wakasema kwamba huyu sasa ni candidate si wa Kenya peke yake, lakini wa East Africa Community. So tunaposema Tanzania wanafaa kuwa sad kwamba tumepoteza, Rwanda wanafaa kuwa hawana raha kwamba tumepoteza, na tuanze kuangalia tulipoteza zile kura 10 wapi zika.
Shikilia hapo. Nikirudi kwako ndugu Kimunyi, wakati bara hili la Afrika ni moja, tunasema kwamba ni moja, African Union, lakini utakuta kwamba tuna two segment. Kwa mfano kuna SADC, kuna na sasa kuna mataifa mengine pia yamejitoa katika muungano huu wa ECOWAS. Wameunda muungano wao Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso. Je, jumuiya hizi labda zinachangia kitu kimoja?
Kwa kweli ndio. Na wakati chata ya Umoja wa Afrika ilipotengenezwa, ilipanga yawe na maeneo yawe na uhusiano mwema, wawe na kundi lao ambao wanaketi wanajadiliana. Kwa hivyo tukifika tunaongea kama bara, kuna uwezekano kuwa eneo la Afrika Mashariki kupitia East African Mashariki tunakuja na sauti moja. Tukienda pengine wale wa SADC, ile uhusiano wa Afrika Kusini, hizo nchi za Afrika na ECOWAS vile umesema, na tumeonelea kwamba kunazo zile tunasema ni tofauti za aina yake. Kwa mfano ukiangalia Kusini ni kama mara mingi hawakuangi sawa na Kenya. Ukiangalia wamehakikisha Tanzania wamealikwa na wao ni memba wa SADC. Kwa hivyo ukiangalia, na ninaweza nikawapeleka kitu rahisi. Ukiangalia, nafikiri karne iliyoisha tukikuja kutamatisha, unakumbuka South African Breweries walikuwa wamejenga kiwanda yao Kenya na pombe. Na wakati walijenga kukakuwa kuna tashwishi kwa sababu East African Breweries ambayo ni ya Kenya ilipata itakuwa na ushindani. Ikabaki kumekuwa na uelewa la Afrika Mashariki, ili ibaki Kenya ingebaki East African Brewery, Kenya Breweries ingebaki na Uganda, nao South African Breweries wakaenda Tanzania. Na imeleta hiyo kwa sababu hakuja kuwa na kubwa sana, na nikiangalia mimi huona wakati mwingine Afrika Kusini inachangia pakubwa sana kukosa kukua na uelewano katika jumuiya. Na sana sana tuseme ni huo ushindani wa kiuchumi, kwa sababu tunaona Afrika Kusini ni mababe wa uchumi pale eneo la Afrika Kusini. Nayo Kenya ambayo iko kwa Afrika Mashariki pia ili soko waweze kulipata, wanatumia mbinu zingine. Na ninafikiri wakati waliandika hii barua ya SADC, lazima, mimi nilishangaa vile mheshimiwa amesema Tshisekedi ni mheshimiwa Raila. Naye Ramaphosa tunajua ni rafiki ya mheshimiwa Raila. Lakini ile barua iliandikwa inakwambia urafiki uliwekwa kando kidogo, wakaangalia. Ukiangalia pale Afrika, West Africa, umesema vizuri kuhusu ECOWAS vile imeendelea. Kunazo changamoto nyingi. Ukiangalia yote 9, ile tunasema yote 9 la 10, ni kwamba Umoja wa Afrika haujakuwa na manufaa ambayo anafikia wananchi. Kuangalia vizuri, utaangalia yale mambo ambayo yanafanyika Sudan. Sudan wako na shida mingi sana kwa ile vita inaendelea. Ukiangalia Burkina Faso, ukiangalia Niger, ukiangalia Mali, wamekuja na msisimuko wakasema hataki kushirikiana na jumuiya ya Afrika ya
Afrika yote.
Hapana, hataki kushirikiana na ECOWAS. Na ukiangalia ni kama wananchi kumekuwa na msisimuko katika West Africa yote, mpaka imebidi nchi zingine ambazo hazikuhusika katika jeshi kutawala, unapata Ivory Coast, unapata Senegal, pia wao wamechukua hatua wakasema wanajeshi wa Ufaransa watoke huko. Ninafikiri Umoja wa Afrika vile mheshimiwa amesema, tukiangalia muundo msingi tu sio kuchagua mwenyekiti ama viti vingine, pia lazima tuulize huu umoja wa Afrika unasaidia wananchi, na mimi na hautoshi kabisa. Lakini tuseme pia sio Afrika peke yake, ukiangalia pia umoja wa kimataifa umekuwa pia umoja na inaitwa the talking shop, kwa sababu wanaenda wanaongea, wanarudi nyumbani. Wakirudi nyumbani, Gaza kuna vita inaendelea miaka miwili, watu wanauliwa. Sudan kuna vita, ukienda Myanmar kule bara la Asia kuna ulimwengu mzima yako na shida. Kwa hivyo kuna umuhimu wa kuangalia uhusiano wa hizi jumuiya ili ziweze kupata ambazo zinashiriki.
Asante mtazamaji, bila shaka mahali popote ulipo, endapo labda ndo kwa sasa umefungua runinga yako, kipindi hewani ni Gumzo Pevu kwa hisani ya GMK. Mtazamaji, ndani ya studio ninao wageni hapa, kama nilivyokuambia, karibu yangu Mheshimiwa Obadia Barongo Nolfason, mbunge wa Boma Choge Borabu. Katikati pale ninaye Mimano Kimunyi, mchanganuzi wa masuala ya kimataifa na sera za kigeni, na kule pembeni kushoto niko naye ndugu masuala ya kisiasa. Tunajaribu kuangalia sera ya masuala ya kigeni. Tuna dakika 12 kuweza kumaliza kipindi. Labda nirudi kwako Mheshimiwa Nolfason Barongo. Rais wa Marekani Donald Trump kiana na mataifa mengi ya kigeni akisema kwamba Amerika kwanza, na miongoni mwa mataifa ambayo yameathirika sana ni mataifa ya Afrika, hususan Kenya. Je, mataifa ya Afrika yanafaa kufanya nini ili ya nyanja mbalimbali?
Ningependa kusema hivi, sisi kama mataifa ya Kiafrika tunafaa sasa tuanze kuangalia namna ya Trump aliban ile USAID ambayo imekuwa ikitoa fedha nyingi sana kusupport mashirika mengi katika bara la Afrika. Kenya kwa mfano inaathirika kiwango cha, niliona wachanganuzi wakisema kwamba ugonjwa wa ukimwi tumekuwa tukipata fedha nyingi sana, karibu 25 billion shillings kwa mwaka kutoka USAID. So ikiwa Trump atahakikisha kwamba inajitegemea Amerika yenyewe, basi sisi kama Wakenya hii inatuacha wapi? Janga hili la ukimwi na wale ambao wanaathirika na ugonjwa huu, je, wafanyikia? So ni vema nchi kama yetu ianze kuzingatia uongozi bora, utumizi bora wa rasilimali, ili gap kama hiyo ya 25 billion wenyewe kama taifa kuweza kujikimu na kuweza kuendelea na ile mipango yote ambayo tulikuwa tukitegemea Amerika. Tuhakikishe kwamba sisi wenyewe tunaweza kuwa na fedha zetu za na Kenya, sisi kama Kenya tuko na shida nyingi ambazo zinatukumba. Kumbuka kwamba the cost of living katika nchi yetu imekuwa juu zaidi. Tuko na madeni mengi sana Uchina na mashirika mengine ambayo yako katika ufadhili wa mataifa. Ni nini kile ambacho tunastahili kufanya kama nchi ili kwamba tupunguze Kuran economy ambayo inatuacha na surplus. Sio economy ambayo inachukua kiwango cha fedha nyingi. Kenya sahi tunalipa katika mwaka tunalipa karibu 1.8 trillion shillings katika kulipa deni. Ikiwa kama taifa tungeweza kupunguza deni hii, you can imagine what 1.8 to do for our country. So kuna umuhimu wa sisi kama taifa kujiangalia kiundani ni nini kile ambacho tunaweza kufanya ili tuanze kuendesha mambo yetu kwa namna nufaisha wananchi, kwa namna ambayo itahakikisha kwamba vizazi vyetu ambavyo vinaendelea kukua kwa wakati huu vitaweza sijazo.
Bwana Odede, sijui una kauli gani kulingana na swala hili, kwa sababu mataifa mengi barani Afrika yameathirika pakubwa ikiwamo Kenya, na kutokana na lile agizo la Rais wa Marekani Donald Trump kwamba misaada mingi ikiwemo mswada ama USAID ambao tumekuwa ukitusaidia sana Kenya kuondolewa. Je, tuna lipi la kufanya kama taifa na vile vile pia bara zima la Afrika?
Asante sana Rashid. Kwangu ni mambo mawili. Kuna wakati tulifanya research tuweze kuangalia ni jambo gani linafanya pengine vijana ama walio na umri ndogo waweze kutamani sana kuenda nchi za ngambo kama Marekani na Europa. Tuligundua kwamba mambo matatu ni za muhimu kwao. Number 1 ni greener pasture, meaning employment. Number 2 ni matibabu. Wengi wana travel kuenda kutafuta matibabu. Number 3 ni masomo, scholarship. Hizo mambo matatu za kwanza, kunaweza kuwa na zingine, lakini hizo ndizo tatu za kwanza. So ukiniuliza kwamba bara la Afrika, Kenya ikiwemo ndani, tuweze kufanya aje wakati tunapewa 25 billion kama msaada? Tunafaa kujiuliza Wakenya wangapi wana apply visa peke yake pale embassy ya Marekani, na wangapi wana zile pesa, na hizo hela ni kama pesa ngapi ukijumulisha kwa mwaka mzima. Pengine utakuta ni nyingi kushinda misaada ambayo tunapewa. Pengine so tufanye nini tuweze kujimudu katika health budget yetu? Pengine tuweze kureduce the numbers ya wale watu wana travel ziweze kutumika hapa nyumbani. Pengine tukirudisha by half wale wanatafuta matibabu nje, tutaona ya kujitengenezea mahospitali zetu na hata kujitengenezea madawa zetu na vitu kama hizo. Wakati huu tunaangalia mahospitali zetu, tunaona hakuna madawa. Nakuta kwamba kama si USAID, mtu anaona kwa pale village, kama si USAID singekuwa na kazi. Kama si USAID mama yangu pengine baba yangu hangepata madawa. So nchi za Afrika, Kenya ikiwemo ndani, tuweze kutafuta biashara kati yetu, na hiyo bado inaenda kwa vision ya Raila Amolo. Amepeleka vision yake ya Afrika kwamba biashara kati ya mainchi za Afrika ni duni kabisa, ni percentage chini ya 10. Lakini biashara kati ya nchi zingine za ngambo ziko kule 60-70%. But ukiangalia Europa wanafanya biashara kati yao, meaning wakati wanafanya biashara kati yao wana increase chances za vijana wao kupata. Wakati wanapata kazi, hata hela za kulipa ushuru inakuwa nyingi, kwa sababu USAID ni hela za ushuru za Waamerikani. Hapa kwetu tunaweza lipa ushuru, ila tu shida ni kwamba kama utalipa ushuru kutoka wapi?
Asante Mesha, asante. Tupate kauli yake ndugu yangu Kimunyi hapa tukimalizia juu ya hili.
Mimi nafikiri la kwanza la umuhimu sana, lazima viongozi wetu wawajibike na kuwe na uadilifu katika kutumia zinapatikana katika nchi yetu. Ya pili, ninafurahia vile mwenzangu Wadede amesema. Kunao ule mkataba ambao ulikubalianwa na ambao unasema kuwe na biashara inaitwa Africa Continental Free Trade ambayo inaita jamii yote ya Afrika kusahihisha yale mambo ambayo anafanya wa Afrika wasifanye biashara. So ni muhimu tuangalie zile vizuizi ambavyo vinafanya wa Afrika wasifanye biashara wenyewe kwa wenyewe, tuhakikishe vimeondolewa. Na tunakumbuka Kenya ilisema nchi zote za Afrika hawatakuwa wakale ya kuingia nchini. Na la tatu la muhimu, lazima nchi zetu pia tuangalie vile tutafanya ile value addition ya mali na rasilimali ambazo zinapatikana kwetu. Haiwezekani ikiwa yote tunaipeleka Ujerumani, tunaipeleka Uingereza, alafu tunakuja kuuziwa Dormans hapa na Nescafe. Lakini nikirudi pale kwetu na hata hapati furaha ya maisha na niye mkulima wa kahawa. Lazima nchi yetu na bara la Afrika tujue vile tutaongeza rasilimali kupitia value addition, ndio nchi zetu ziweze kufanya isha wenyeji na zinanufaisha bara lote la Afrika.
Bila shaka muda wetu umekwisha, lakini kwa sekunde 30 kila mmoja, nikianza na Mheshimiwa Engineer Nolfason Barongo, labda tu kwa sekunde 30 una wito gani kwa Wakenya? Kwa sababu uchaguzi huja na ukaenda, uchaguzi wa AUC umekuja na umeenda. Ni nini ambacho tunafaa kufanya kama Wakenya na nyinyi pia kama viongozi?
Ningependa kusema hivi kwa Wakenya. Kwanza kabisa tulikuwa na candidate katika kinyang'anyiro cha AUC. Na pia tuzingatie kwamba kama hatukufaulu ni nini kile ambacho tunafaa kufanya kama wananchi Kenya kwa ujumla, ili kuhakikisha kwamba katika siku za usoni kutakapotokea tena nafasi nyingine ambayo inahitaji sisi kutangamana sisi wote, kwa tumejifunza lessons gani, ili katika nafasi hiyo na wakati huo utakapotokea tukue katika nafasi nzuri ya kutoa wadhifa wowote utakaotokea. Ni kusema kwamba sasa kinyang'anyiro hicho kimekwisha, kilikuwa kimeshika fikra za Wakenya wengi. Sasa turudi nchini, tuangalie kujenga nchi yetu. Kumbuka I think mstaafu Uhuru Kenyatta aliyesema kwamba Kenya inapoteza bilioni 2 kila siku ama kila wiki kwa siku. Tuangalie ni nini ambacho tumefanya kama Kenya kuhakikisha kwamba kiwango hicho akipotei, ili kwamba tukue na rasilimali ambazo zinatosha ili kuweza kusuluhisha mambo yetu.
Asante sana. Badia Barongo, mbunge wa Bomachoge Borabu, kwa sekunde 30 ndugu Mesha Kodede, tukimalizia.
Wito langu litakuwa kwa Afrika kwa jumla. Bado hatuna umoja wa Afrika. Ni kama kazi ni ya umoja, but si umoja mwenyewe, kwa sababu ninapoangalia umoja wa mataifa ya Europa ni passport moja, currency moja, kimoja, unaweza toka upande huu ufike upande ule bila kuwa na kizuizi, inafanya biashara iweze kunoga. Umoja wa Afrika utapatikana lini?
Okay, asante. Nikimalizia kwako ndugu yangu Mimamo Kimunyi.
Mimi na ningeomba wizara ya mambo ya nchi za kigeni na nafikiri tuko nao wanaweza kuendeleza sera yetu ya mambo ya nchi za kigeni, waweze kung'amua mambo ambayo yanatatiza uwezo wetu kuonyesha na kuonyesha ubabe wetu wa mambo ya kidiplomasia. Na pia Foreign Service Academy ambayo inaongozwa na mwalimu wangu Daktari Maruki, wanao kibarua kikubwa. Lazima wafanye utafiti, wajue zile vizuizi ambavyo vinafanya fanye ni kama inazembea kidogo, ili nchi yetu iweze kunufaika. Na kwa bara la Afrika lazima kukue na mwamko mpya. Lazima wananchi wa Afrika waweze kupata Mataifa. Nafikiri Odede amesema ni kama ni kazi, ni pengine ni buruburu ya Umoja wa Mataifa.
Asante. Mama mtazamaji, saa 3:02 ndipo ninapotia kikomo mazungumzo haya. Kumbuka nimekuwa nao ndani ya studio ni kwangu hapa mbunge wa Bomachoge Borabu, mhandisi na mchezaji wa timu ya Bunge FC Onolfas Onobadia Barongo. Katikati Munyi, mchanganuzi wa sera za masuala ya kimataifa, na mbali kushoto kule nimekuwa naye ndugu Meshak Odede, mchanganuzi wa masuala ya kisiasa. Shukran sana kwa wapiga picha, waelekezi upande wa runinga, waelekezi upande wa redio, bila kumsahau mwenzangu Dora Manya upande wa pili wa studio. Kumbuka mtayarishi wa kipindi hiki amekuwa Geoffrey Onditi Ondonga. Mimi langu naitwa Rashid Momkondo, lakini nakuacha na hili msikilizaji. Mbele ya ng'ombe jihadhari na pembe zake, na nyuma ya punda jihadhari yake. Kwaherini. Thank you.
Are you a talented artist or a topic you want to discuss? But money can be very hard to find for an upcoming artist. Don't worry. Has got your back. Sign up on ajira.co.ke to book a session with our music and video producers across the country. Work on your music, jingles, spoken words, and even podcasts to realize your dream. All Studio Mashinani, Radani Talent.
Kuhusu na hii kesi ni ya mtu mlagai. Mtu ambaye ana huruma.
If you acknowledge comes a big person like you, you are giving passengers. Yeko. Why?
Are you listening to yourself?
I'm listening myself.
Unajisikiza ukiongea?
Of course, why not? So, kielele ndio nini umeleta hapa kwa koti?
Kielele tena? Wewe unahatarisha maisha.
Na umesema chio ilikuwa imevunjika huko nyuma. Haki nini wachinga kweli?
Kupata na hatia ya kosa hilo na imekufunga kifungo cha miaka
6.
Hesabu 1 2 3 4 5 6.
Kwa mtu ana watoto 7 kama mimi.
Welcome back to Good Morning Kenya. My name is Mike Migwe. Now from radio, we come back here on TV and talk about matters to do with regulating engineering service for public safety and welfare. Joined by engineer Nathaniel Matalanga, who is a structural engineer. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Mike.
And also engineer Margaret Ogai, who is the CEO, Engineers Board of Kenya. Karibu sana to the program.
Asante sana.
Engineer Matalanga, let me start with you. Regulating engineering service for public safety and welfare. Why is it important?
No, it is very important because engineers ensure that systems are put in place to when the public use them, they are safe and they are sound. If this is not regulated, you will get like buildings. We've had incidents of buildings collapsing. If the construction industry is not properly regulated, and if the engineers who are the prime movers in this area are not properly trained and called to account by a regulator, you can imagine the mess that the country would be. the public assume that whatever systems are put in place, be they roads, be they buildings, be they machinery, be they equipment, they are properly done, are professional. Imagine you are to fly and you are not assured that the person who has prepared that aircraft is properly qualified. I don't think that plane. So you like, just like when you enter Matatu on the road and you are assured that the driver has a driving license regulated issued by the Kenya police, and they give you to the safe destination. Even as we go about our activities, I'm sure this morning you have come, and here we are in the studio. The equipment that we are using has been assured by the people behind our engineers to ensure that it is working properly. So these people have, and they have to be properly qualified, trained to ensure that the systems are working. And that's why it is necessary that for matters of public safety, public health, and ethics, regulates the people handling these services to ensure that things are done properly and therefore lives are not lost. Thank you.
You know, Engineer Ogai, perception, engineering is one of the highest ranked professions, especially even for people who want to become engineers, those who are in school right now. And there are terms associated with it, terms like for public welfare. How significant are these terms in the field of engineering?
Oh, thank you. In fact, where will I start from? Engineer Matalanga has spelled out the importance of having engineers in society, their role, and how they also protect the society. So I think I'll start by just the word engineers, I think, comes from the title ingenious. It is these people who are found to be clever. You are able to look at natural resources and create processes, tools, systems of lives, because that's the bottom line. I think that's where you're talking about benefit. We want to improve lives. So whatever an engineer does must bring improvement to that citizen. Training that we go through is quite rigorous. In fact, it's a very competitive course, like you said. So we even look at the entry requirements for you to get into an engineering program. These are spelled out by COOPS and the placement. And then they are accepted to the universities and they train for a 5-year program. So engineers have to be fairly good in the sciences, the physics, maths, chemistry. Of communication, we also take one language, that is for entry. After the 5-year program, when they graduate from a recognized program, they will be registered by the Engineers Board of Kenya. Let me say at this point, I'm happy to say, through 90% of all the programs being taught in the university, and they're well over 80. So you can see that's also a very big constituency. 80 programs being taught in 15 private university. Are producing engineers who come and are registered by the board. They then are taken up by the industry, either in factories or they work with consulting. My colleague here is a consulting engineer. They will work for a 3-year period just to get the practice. Because yes, you have the tech, but you know there are standards to be met. There is also learning about how do you manage a contract. The parties to a contract. So all these things, you come and do an examination at the end of the 3-year period. Then licensed as a professional engineer. As a professional engineer, now you have the competence, you have the seal from government that you now can be able to take up public authorities or even private entities to carry out the work that is needed for engineering. So I don't think we can even spend a lot of time about parts of engineering. When you look at how you travel, I think Engineer Matalanga went through that whole process. He stipulated all that. But we also did something as the Engineers Board of Kenya. We thought we had not studied, and we did Engineering at 60 documentary. And I would invite anybody who is listening to please go and watch that, because you will then get to understand the contribution that engineering has made. The development of any country cannot be met without engineers, and I think engineering knowledge and all that. So I think we contribute in a big way. Yes. I hope I'm. but I'm sure in a roundabout manner, yes.
There's something about engineering. Still on you, Engineer Margaret. Yes, you know, the perception that engineering is a male. So far, how many engineers who are ladies do we have in the country? What have been the uptick?
I think initially it was it has been a very male-dominated globally. It's a problem globally. There are some regions that have made a lot of progress. I think we're looking at Malaysia and a few other countries. They're at 50% parity. But in most, including Kenya, I think for us it might also have been from the attitudes and possibly also from the primary school going to secondary school. I think expectation of the professions that our ladies would get into in the time when I was growing up.
Yes.
So you'd find we didn't have the courses like technical courses being taught. We had technical high schools, but there weren't any for girls as far as I know.
Yeah.
So that already had caused that what did you call it, that we weren't getting as many. So coming to the current, about 8%. About 2,000 of our engineers are women engineers, but we thank God, because when we look at the universities, we are getting better parity. Still, we are looking at out of the 22,000 or so who are training in the universities today, I think we are looking at 30%.
Yeah.
So we are seeing this number going up. Currently, we are even doing outreaches together with the UNESCO and other bodies, Young Scientists of Kenya, and the Institution of Engineers of Kenya and associations, to go back to the high schools and really sell engineering as a course of choice to both the girls and the boys, but also emphasize to the girls there's some because they see very few role models. But we have seen there is a good uptick. And I think in today's world anyway, because of all this technology driven, you really cannot do without technical knowledge. So we've seen still room for improvement.
Still room for improvement. Engineer Matalanga, do you see a shift in mindset, especially now for ladies, to join these technical professions like engineering?
Yes, Mike. In fact, the movement, let's say the girl child movement, has done very. We should actually be worried that as much as we are saying that there are very few women in engineering, the campaign and the efforts have yielded a lot of fruit. And as Engineer Guy is saying, if you go to schools, you realize that the number of women who are doing science, the STEM courses is now more. Even when we see examination results, you must agree with me that some of the top leaders are now being the as much as we are promoting them, and we need to continue that effort to ensure that we are at par with the boys. At least we now also need to start encouraging the boy child. You should not feel disadvantaged. You should keep at it, and we need both boys and girls everywhere. You know, it's just not engineering. Our traditional mindset that are for boys and some things that are for girls. I think that's where the campaign should be, that we are all the same. We should be able to encourage each other to do these courses. And actually we admire and congratulate the girl child movement, that they have done a very tremendous job. And I think they are yielding a lot of beginning to benefit from that effort. Engineer Guy will probably, she's not telling you, but I think she's the first CEO, lady CEO of the Engineers Board of Kenya.
Yes.
And we are getting there, where we many more after her, and many more women CEOs in engineering-dominated fields.
Yes.
And even you see at the board level, there is also the effort to encourage women, even at the cabinet level. Our legislation is that we need to encourage more women and more girls to be at par as men.
So from where you stand in terms of looking engineering, in terms of the uptake of ladies, the future is bright.
The future is very bright.
Yes.
Because the effort has been made in the right direction, and we are actually seeing she's the result. She's here with me, and I'm very proud of her. I'm a past president of the Institution of Engineers of Kenya.
Yes.
And during my term as president, more than 50% of the council. Seeing it everywhere, and the future is bright. Yes.
Engineer Margaret, now in terms of licensing, does having a license as an engineer depict or stipulate excellence or outstanding?
Thank you. I think that's a very good question. I think what we aim for is, this is government. We are regulating space. The standards to do with the person who's going to do for you that design. We also have regulatory standards around the materials that are going to be used. So as I said, once you come to an examination at the board, and the examination is testing your competence to carry out engineering services independently.
Yes.
And therefore you wait, it's a peer to be able to respond in a way that you're using engineering principles to say, this is how I carried out my road design. I applied these principles and all that. So that sets as that we have registered as professional engineers, the ones that we protect the title ENG, and we introduce ourselves by that style. It is in our act. Those we are assuring the public that they should be able to do safe and sustainable engineering products as we may. But I think, of course, things are human beings.
Yes.
So these things we talk about, there's personal accountability, there's personal ethics. Yeah, and we do even issue a code of ethics as you in reality, excellence is a personal choice.
Yes.
And so to me there is what you'd call the what is not good and we take for disciplinary.
Yes.
Then there is that which is that you will meet, we'll meet your expectation. But the one who will exceed your expectation and therefore lead towards excellence is just an exceptional person. I think I would like to say we have seen recently different individuals, and we see, for instance, the one, I think, to the LSK president.
Yeah.
I think it's an international award, and we congratulate her for that, because people have seen beyond just saying that I'm serving in this space and this is what I offer. And I think that's what we are calling to all our engineers. Let us go beyond. I think Kenyan engineers have done extremely well, very well in the globe, and we have a lot of representation. Like, I'm glad to say we have here Engineer Matalanga. He is in the executive committee of the World Federation of Engineering. You can't get yourself in such a forum unless you are meeting some standard, and unless there is that respect amongst the globe.
Yeah.
I think even when we come to the Africa level, we have a Federation of Africa. We have, again, I think, a member of ours who was our past president, also represented on that executive board. That is Engineer Uhaga. And we can go on. The first vice, the federation, it's called FIDIC, FIDIC is for the Consulting Engineers, Federation for the Consulting Engineers, Engineer James Mwangi. Also is a member and is a vice president of a organization. And therefore, I think this excellence in our engineers, we have no doubt.
Yeah.
We are truly leaders in this region.
Okay.
And if, part of it is we also want to celebrate them. They have gone out. They have also been built most of Southern Africa. You have Botswana and Lesotho in the 80s and 90s, and now you find a lot of our engineers now in South. And so I think this is the excellence that we have had as in terms of training, education. And I'm trying to see, I want to also mention, because I cannot leave it at just a gentleman. I will be very, 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 very deliberate. And also, I think the first woman chair of the Association of Consulting Engineers is Engineer Jane Mwangi. Consultancy firm, one of the only 3 women running a consultancy firm for engineering services. So this excellence, I think, is there in all Kenyans, and I'm sure I've also mentioned, you can tell. And we have that can be excellent and you don't know. But in Kenya, I think we've been validated in very many ways. Yes. We represent the continent and Kenya and the continent very, very well. And I think we have fairly good, I mean, look at the product. Just look at, if you look at the environment that we have been delivered for you. We started with 2,000 kilometers of roads. Sorry to take this. And now currently we are talking of well over 200,000 kilometers of roads. These have been designed, developed up to today by engineers. Look at the energy that we enjoy in Kenya. Those megawatts, I don't know the numbers very well, but this is what we've been able to deliver. The buildings, we have very tall buildings. Why a building of 40 stories, 40 stories stands and doesn't waver and doesn't come down. This is the excellence. To me, the work of an engineer is excellence.
Yeah. Now, you know, I mean, from your standpoint as an engineer, what do you think is the first responsibility of an engineer?
The first, sorry, thank you very much, Mike. Here. As an engineer, you are taught in school to ensure that you use the resources the best way possible, because we don't have an enormous supply of resources. Yeah. So as we go about our duties to create infrastructure, we do designs to ensure that these systems that we are putting in place are first safe. Whatever is being done, we are using our resources in the best way possible. And our basic role is to ensure that whatever is put in place is safe for the public use. You can imagine a doctor who is carrying out an operation. Behind him, maintaining that equipment is an engineer. It is working well, because if the equipment doesn't work well, then the doctor's job will not be successful. And if that equipment is not, when like go around the world, we look for the best equipment, the one that will be sustainable for us to maintain. So as an engineer, you are basically schooled to ensure that first the public safety is number one priority. The materials that you use are used in the most economical way. You will not, for example, design an expensive building.
Yes.
You will design a safe. Now we are talking about sustainable systems that we shall be able to use for a long time. And this training is the world over. That is the best. The requirement is that the CEO has explained that the people who end up in engineering courses are the top performers in schools.
Yeah.
Go in Kenya, it's a 5-year training program. You are required to undergo mentorship for 3 years. The reason being is that what you do in school, go by the book, but now when you come out, this is the practical. So you are mentored for 3 years, and after that, you should be able to get certification that now you can stand on your own and offer professional engineering. Yes. So you are properly trained to ensure that you assure the public, and that's where we are saying that government cannot abscond its duty of putting in place a regulatory framework to ensure that whoever is offering this service and is able to assure Wanjiku and all the public that whatever is done is good to go. When you are in school, Mike, you know that if you get 70%,
yes,
many degree.
Yeah.
But you know, in engineering, if your output is 90%, like a building, the building will collapse. 10% of the building will collapse. So at any one time, you have to.
There's no guesswork about this.
There is no guesswork about it. That's why we require that these people who are coming from school, we train them for 3 years. The main challenge that is coming up is that our system has been such that there is no sufficient jobs. 1,000 people graduating from engineering schools every year. And sometimes we lack the placement, not because of engineers, but because of the way our government is doing things. We have a lot of development, but if we do it well, all these 3,000 people graduating from engineering schools will get jobs. But for some reason, we have, from the professional body, we have to keep lobbying. They enforce the Local Content Act in terms of procurement, because if they don't do it, then most of the infrastructure projects tend to be done by foreigners. You've gone on a construction site, and many times, I'm not saying, but sometimes you see jobs that can be done locally, being done by people who obviously to you are not Kenyans. So we lobby government to ensure that these jobs that can be done by engineers are left to engineers.
Do you think that is lack of trust in local engineers?
No, it is not lack of trust in local engineers, because we are trusted globally. Your guy has just told you that I'm an executive council member of organizations. Our engineers develop a lot of the African continent, and we are respected in the region. So it is basically, how do you call it, a government policy is there, the policy is clear that these things should be done, but it is basically lack of enforcement, where you want to look the other way because of other, mostly to yourself or whoever is being procured to provide that service. If probably we do it properly, then whoever is out the personal benefit, and that's the challenge we are having.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Engineer Margaret, you are in the Engineers Board of Kenya. Have you come across and how have you handled them?
I like to, because this sometimes we also use terms. One, you use the term, which is very interesting. He is not up to it. That is why they are not, and he has explained very well, they are up to it. So let me start, and I'll take from where he picked up. The enforcement, we have very many laws in this country. But at the same time, you'll go and read the newspapers, and we are rife with failures.
Yes.
You'll find whether it is a procurement. Yes, we have professionals, licensed but we still find we have bent the corners. So for me, what I would say is that you are having non-licensed people carrying out work that is reserved for licensed people. It is true, this term is probably much more easily understood as quack. But again, what we'd rather do is see progressively how we can bring compliance. Who have not qualified to be engineers, they have a role, but they need to play that role specifically. Because currently you might find one who's supposed to play the role of being, in terms of collecting the material sample, would also want to give advisory on the building.
Yes.
Because you're in the village and somebody tells you, oh, just build a cheap house. You tell them, an engineer, they say, no, that's too expensive. We can assure the public, I want to talk to the public here, that you need to use a licensed engineer. First of all, you will have professional liability on this person. And two, I can assure you they'll use value engineer. It will be more expensive. What you'll pay him, you will find, or her, you will find you will still save at the long run. What happens with somebody who's not fully trained would probably then overdesign. Wataweka chuma mingi, and more, and that kind of thing. So you might think you're saving. You are saving on the fees. You're losing out a lot on the actual materials and the quality. And the building will stand. So I think the other thing, so basically that is one of the areas we want to work. Let me just say, yesterday, I've come in from Mombasa. We had something there's a multi-sectoral agency which was established by the CS for lands, public works. And the issue here is we have realized, yes, we have so many regulators, the contractors are being licensed, engineers are licensed, architects are licensed, but still coming down. So we realized we need a collaborative approach. We need NEMA on board, we need DOSH, we need, in fact, now we are even looking at creating more. We need one government approach because the cracks, where you find that a county government is supposed to accept drawings from a licensed engineer. Unfortunately, you will find that sometimes they have actually accepted drawings from a non-licensed person. It could also be just basic fraud. Somebody has come across your documents in a tender document and photocopies and uses that. So you can imagine already you have that building started, it went into design because it was not done by a licensed engineer. So these are the things we are finding. There are so many gaps. We are trying to close them. Even when they come to register at the National Construction Authority, again, our own engineers, I'm sorry to say, we do have one or two that have not been using their license properly. And the people who are stamping the drawings in the county, we want them to be licensed engineers, because I cannot also try to interpret a court if I'm not a lawyer. So how is it that people are looking at drawings and you did not go into engineering school? We work very closely with architects. Engineering drawing cannot be interpreted by anybody else but an engineer. Yeah? And so we are just asking ourselves that we are trying to clean up, we're trying to look at the whole value chain. And that's why we say, what is the education standards we are giving? Then you come to train. You must be trained under a licensed engineer. And finally, as you practice, we have an eye on you. And should something happen, we will call you for an inquiry. We will ask and we will confirm who is it, because there are many players. It may not have been your fault, it could have been the contractor. It was also a quack, if you want to call. There are many quacks. Contractor, it could have been pure bribery. You know what I'm saying? It's very complex. You have people who are doing money laundering through building projects. So does that person want to follow standards? He doesn't want to take in a feature. So these are so we are also looking at financial institutions. We are looking at those who are lending. We are asking them, banks, are you lending without some kind of control about who you're lending this money to? Don't you want to see the design team, that they meet some standards? Don't they also want to bring down the risks? So we want to work as a whole integrated system. And fortunately, lastly, we also had portal. Because also now, as I said, we are all disjointedly trying to regulate. But I don't know that the architect, I'm looking at the engineer here, but there is a contractor there, he needs to be confirmed he's licensed. You need to, whatever. At the county, we need to confirm it is a licensed engineer who's looking at the engineering part. So we've agreed to do one portal which is integrated, so that we have full visibility amongst ourselves. From somebody entering the system, if they don't have the right qualifications.
Engineer Matalanga, whatever Engineer Margaret has said is very important. It also brings about the role of professional societies, professional engineering. What is its importance?
The professional body's main role or basic need is to ensure that the welfare of their members, if they are engineers is looked after. Basically, is to lobby that the engineers are given an enabling environment to practice their trade, to ensure that proper legislation is in place to enable this. Professional bodies are like private members' clubs, because you don't need government legislation to have normally registered under the Societies Act. So it's basically a welfare society to ensure that your members, if it's a group of professionals, that whatever these professionals need to enable them a job or provide their services to the public is enabled.
Yes.
Look at all the areas that are going to make this happen. Like I talked about jobs for young engineers. So the work of the professional body should be is enforcing its own laws to ensure that these jobs that can be done by us Kenyans are actually done by Kenyans and not other people.
Okay.
Because I can't by foreigners. It has to be developed by the local people.
Yeah.
And in case we don't have that particular skill, whoever foreign colleague, professional that is coming in, we also need to part of his terms and part of the contract obligations will be for him to provide training for the local person. So that the next time we are doing that type of thing, then we already have a local construction of the Nairobi Expressway.
Yes.
If we had done it like that, where meaning that the whole feasibility study, if the whole design will have been done jointly by us, by locals, then next expressway, we don't need the huge expense of getting a foreign person come and do that work for us. So that's why that is the role of the professional member society, to ensure that we develop capacity of our members and do work that is up to speed and is sustainable.
All right. Engineer Margaret, there's an engineers partnership convention that is coming up. What's the plan?
Oh, thank you. We always have industry engagement, and this is where we discuss policies, standards. We also try to where we are going. So we hold it every year. The Engineers Board of Kenya runs this program every year. This year, the theme is what? Engineering a I was about to ask how come it's getting out of my head. And it's because we've also recognized that we are, I think, the new game changer. As you've seen, when DeepSeek was introduced, stocks in the US.
Yes.
So we are realizing we want to leverage on technology. I think Kenyans are very tech savvy. That one we are not in doubt. So we want to see how we can continue to enable these processes to make ourselves. So this is the discussion we'll be having. We invite the whole of industry. We invite thought leadership. We invite all our engineers and the partners, because not only because engineers, I think if we look at very many suppliers of products who are very interested to partner with us. We have already quite a number. I didn't come prepared. I should have, who are onboarding, and we will be having it in Nairobi between the 7th and of May of this year. Last year we had about 800 of us who came together in Dedan Kimathi University of Technology, and I think out of that we've seen things. Particularly, we have now on the working towards getting international accreditation for our engineering programs. So we've recently been assessed by international assessors, so that we can have now being their qualifications today. If you want to practice outside of the country, you will probably have to go back for some courses, because just for them to test you. So this is going to be a big game changer. We'll be able to have our engineers. We hear there's a shortage of engineers in Australia, in Europe, and we would want to be part of the engineers. That is something that we can also start to export. We've not been doing it.
All right.
Yeah, so I'm inviting you. Please partner with us as KBC, as you've always partnered with us, and we've always gotten value by just having this very great event. I'll not tell you who our chief guest is. We are still waiting for confirmation, but we are looking. So that it can, I think it can catapult our country forward.
Thank you. That was our time. That was our time, and I want to appreciate you for making time to come and talk about matters to do with regulating engineering service Safety and Welfare. That is Engineer Nathaniel Matalanga, who is a structural engineer, and also Engineer Margaret Ogai, who is the CEO of Engineers Board of Kenya, joining us here on Good Morning Kenya. Thank you for tuning in. Kenya. My name is Mike Migwe. This is where we end the program. Thank you for tuning in. Keep it KBC Channel 1. Good morning.
Wellness is important in our daily lives, so that instead of just surviving, we should be thriving.
Ways to prevent a stroke or heart attack is for you to know what conditions you have by regular check. People, they don't know they have diabetes.
I was pre-diabetic. I was afraid of getting lifestyle diseases because I come from a family that has lifestyle diseases.
How do you know if your condition? We'll have some answers. Stay well and strive to make every day a healthy day.
Greetings in the name of the Most High, Jah Rastafari. My good name is Marley Moses, the positive warrior, alongside...
Yes, sir, DJ D-Rage, the baddest. Each and every Wednesday. KBC Channel 1 TV.
Tunakuletea the biggest reggae party in 254 in a yard extra of reggae music.
Extra dose of entertainment.
When the thing is nice,
we have to do it twice.
Is artificial intelligence taking away our jobs, or does it actually improve opportunities for work? And is there a way to protect yourself from the competition that AI creates and work hand in hand with it? All this and more coming up now on Shift. Tony Elias from Nairobi, Kenya is a so-called ghostwriter. He produces academic texts for students all over the world and has already written 700 of them, earning his living this way. But then the AI tool ChatGPT came along.
Everything went away abruptly. Say next week or next month I will do this amount of work and get this amount of money. When ChatGPT came, it kind of reversed those plans.
Because of ChatGPT and the opportunities it writers collapsed entirely. But where many of his colleagues saw the end of their careers, Tony was able to see an opportunity.
AI was a wake-up call that today you could be enjoying what you're doing to earn that living, but you don't know about. So you have to be so informed such that you understand this is what it can do, and this is its limit, and as a human, now I can go beyond this limit.
Well, that's what I call despite massive changes in his industry. To be honest, there is plenty you can do to harness the power of AI in your own career. Take a look. Do AI? If so, it's time you got to know them.
The skill that's most important is learn how to use these systems. Is learn how they work.
Mastering these AI models will free up time that you could be using tasks.
If you get ahead by learning how to enhance the best tools in artificial intelligence, and eventually they prove to be very useful, in a very good position.
Programming skills are a prerequisite, especially Python, the foundation of many AI models. ChatGPT can write code, but
you have to have the ability to assess that the code is... That's very important. In the same way that ChatGPT maybe returns a string of text and you realize that there are mistakes there, factual mistakes, the same thing can happen with code.
Programmers in cloud architecture will be in demand. Their task is to integrate AI running on external servers into companies' existing systems. So-called prompts are in demand at the moment. Prompts are the inputs you give an AI, and getting the result you want is an art in itself. Long-term, this demand could decrease as AIs become better at understanding user needs. It's changing almost all jobs, but there are also some downfalls.
They cannot plan, they cannot reason, they don't have common sense, they don't have a sense for how the real world works, like physics or causality, because those things cannot be learned from data.
That's used with caution. Ethicists who assess risk and societal impact of AI could become crucial. A process that has become hugely important with the AI boom is data annotation. It means describing as accurately as possible what is on an image, a text, or an... You've probably done this before yourself. You know those tests where you have to click on all the pictures that show buses, crosswalks, or traffic lights? There are millions of data workers earning their money with